Alright everyone, good evening. This is Great Ace Attorney Adventures on the Nintendo Switch, the first of the two games on the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles compilation. This is going to be part 10. Should be two more parts, I believe. I think we should get started on the trial today on this last episode, episode 5 in the game. And I believe we should be able to finish the trial tomorrow night, if everything goes according to plan anyway. So normally this should be part 10 out of 11, but we'll see how it goes. So I was not done here yesterday. It's just 2 months since we arrived in London, but we've managed to establish this office. It was finally feeling as though we were settling in. I would be lying if I said I felt no regret. I'm so sorry, Sado-san. It's just so sudden, I really don't know what to think. I've had no time to gather my thoughts. I know we've only been here a short time, but in my limited experience of the courtroom, I feel I've learned something. And what would that be? It seems to me there are many facets to people's personalities. Facets? And like a jewel, the light plays off them in complex patterns, illuminating their actions and their motives. But we see only a small number of the total facets, and what is illuminated is only a part of the whole story. What lies in the shadows? What do those facets we cannot see look like? Perhaps there are some parts we'll never lay eyes on for as long as we live. That's so true. Sometimes I feel as though I'm blind to so much, but I keep hoping that one day it will all become clear. That all the facets will be illuminated and I'll finally understand how everything fits together. Naruhodo-san, I suppose what matters is that we keep our eyes open and keep moving forward, even if the way sometimes seems dark. It's amazing to think it's been just 2 months. You've grown so much. Sorry? I've what? Oh no, it was nothing unimportant. Is she older than him? Come to think of it. Ah yeah, but we can't see his profile, so... Well, I think he's more than 16, right? Wasn't he 18 at the beginning or something like that? And she tells him that he's grown? She's younger than he is. Do you know what time you will leave London in the morning? Yes, I picked up my ticket earlier. I shall be leaving here at 4 AM. I see. Well, I'll escort you to the station. Absolutely not. Sorry? I'm sure you realize why I couldn't possibly let you do that. You have a very important day ahead of you tomorrow. Gina's trial. Yes, I know, but every word you utter will have the potential to determine Gina's fate. You must get as much rest as possible. Even though, like me, I'm sure you will find it hard to sleep. But please, for me, do try. You mentioned one final task a moment ago. What did you mean? Oh my, I nearly forgot. Please, I want you to have this. What is that? Some huge bundle of documents. It's my notes from the case 2 months ago. The murder that was committed on the omnibus. The McGillet case. It seems to me that this case of Mr. Windybank's murder, of which Gina is accused, is very much tied up with that omnibus case, in ways that are not yet completely apparent. So I took the liberty of consolidating my writings about the case for you. With everything else she's had to think about, Sado-san still managed to do this. And all neatly laid out for me in her beautiful handwriting. It was my pleasure. I can only hope that it will bolster your case tomorrow for Gina. Thank you so much, Sado-san. I will do my best to use it wisely. You really are the best judicial assistant in the world. Well, that's extremely flattering. But I'm sorry to say that I've been a complete failure. Sorry, I didn't quite catch what you said there. Oh, ignore me. I was just mumbling to myself. How am I supposed to ignore that? Well, it's getting rather late. I think you should go to bed now, Naruhodo-san. I must finish packing up my things in my room. So, Sato-san, I wish you the very best of luck tomorrow. Good night. Wait! There's something I need to say. Hiya! What was that? A secret technique of mine. The Susato shutdown. Shutdown. Please, I implore you. If we have to voice our goodbyes, I won't be able to hold back my tears. Oh. Susato-san. It truly had been a trying day. On our feet for hours, getting Gina to open up to us, and learning the truth about that nemesis of a case. Physically and mentally, I was exhausted, and yet the idea of sleep seemed impossible. But I forced myself to close my eyes, and as a cacophony of scenes of our lives here in London played through my mind, eventually my fatigue triumphed, and I fell into a deep sleep. The small hours at the hospital? Yes, I quite understand. That is a great weight off my mind. Rest assured I shall put everything in place exactly as we have discussed. Thank you so much. It has been an honor and a pleasure to be acquainted with you, Mr. Sholmes. On the contrary, the pleasure has been mine. Who is this? Who is he talking to? I bid you farewell and Godspeed. Ah, okay. My dear madam. Guess she went to see him in the hospital. Oh, what? Was he never shot, or is he just spectacularly recovered in a very short amount of time? This is weird. Trial Part 1. Here we go. When I awoke the following morning, Susato-san was already gone. Outside the window, the rain came down in sheets, and so began an even longer day than the last. One that I would remember for the rest of my days. It's raining in London? What a shocker. Good morning, Gina. I'm determined to prove your innocence today. I'm sure we can do it. So where's your friend then? Sorry? You know, her in the fancy dress. Susato, or however you say it. I don't know. Miss Susato had to leave early this morning. She was already gone by the time I woke up. You alright with that, are ya? Forget about me if you like. Go and see her off. It's fine. It's not as though Miss Susato and I won't meet again one day. Even so, but you, Gina, you only get one chance. This trial today is all we have. Good morning, you two. Ah, okay, it's her. It's Iris. How are you feeling, Ginny? Did you manage to sleep? Iris, what are you doing here? What do you mean? When a friend is in need, we show our support. Isn't that right, Waggy? Meow. Ah, Waggy! Great way to show your support, kitty. Let's him have a nose around. What harm can it do? Oh, that reminds me. I bought a paper on the way here. Pawnbroker perishes in Pick Purse Plunder is the title. Now, would you like the good news or the bad news? What do you say, Bruno? Ginny? Oh, well, I think I'd rather get the bad news out of the way first. Now, always take the good news first. You might not live to hear the bad. Yes, that question always gives away people's personalities. Let's not go there. Alright then, I'll give you the bad news first. A record amount of rain has fallen this morning and carriages all over the capital are struggling to move. Huh? The bad news was a weather report? So I hope that Susie made her train to Dover and that the train isn't delayed on its way to the port. Gosh, yes. Alright then, so what's the good news? Well, the rain is forecast to subside this afternoon. So even if the train is delayed, it should be able to make up the time later. Well, that is good news, isn't it? I couldn't give a monkeys, really. If only all good news cancelled out the bad. And look, this trial has made the headlines too. Pawnbroker perishes in pig purse plunder, see? How'd you like that? Well, let them say what they want, see if I care. I can't because you're covering your face. Don't worry, Runo will soon show everyone that this headline is nonsense. I will? Oh. And then in tomorrow's papers, the headlines will be... Discharged diver is doubtless the gooder. Isn't that right, Runo? Oh, yes, let's hope so. Of course they will, I have absolute faith in you. How was that? I was trying to sound like Susie. Did it work? Did it? It's like she was still here. Good luck then, Runo. I'll do what I can. Hmm? Obviously, I don't know the law like Susie does, but still. I'll be by your side the whole time, giving you moral support and encouragement. I'm not sure that big thing is as comforting as you think it is, to be honest, but thank you, Iris. That's very kind of you. Oh yeah, Iris. Yes, Ginny? Well, I was wondering is all about Sholmes. Did they fix him up already? Alright. Yes, the operation was a great success, but Early still hasn't come around yet. Are you sure about that? Eh? I've asked a friend of mine at Scotland Yard to send a telegram as soon as he wakes up. I'm sure Gregson will let us know the moment there's news. Oh, right. No Sato-san and no Mr. Sholmes. It's all down to me today to prove that Gina is innocent of this crime. Miss Gina Lestrade, counsel for the defense. The trial is about to begin. Please make your way into the courtroom. It's time then. Yes, let's go, Gina. Iris? Lead the way, Runo.
Poor Gina. She's trying to put on a brave face, but I can tell she's worried and scared.
I have to believe in her from start to finish. That's the weapon that will secure our victory here. If I learned anything from my great friend, it's that. Knock, knock, knock. In the name of Her Majesty the Queen, I hereby declare this court to be in session. This trial shall determine the guilt or innocence of Miss Gina Lestrade. I now call upon the counsels for the prosecution and defense to declare their willingness to proceed. The prosecution is ready. The defense is ready. Lord Van Zeeks, my lord. Remind me, how many years ago was it that you withdrew from the public prosecution service? It was some 5 years ago, my lord. Yes, and then 2 months ago you resurfaced somewhat unexpectedly, and here you are again today. Are there some circumstances of which the court should be aware that have led to this erratic behavior? In what one might describe as your former life 5 years past, you dealt exclusively in matters concerned with the highest echelons of society and government. Really?
Yet today you chose to try a simple case of
Burglary and murder. I confess I find it more than a little befuddling, counsel. There are two types of person I cannot abide. Firstly, those wealthy scoundrels who hide behind the mask of philanthropy to cheat the public at large. He means Mr. MacGilded, who you defended against the Reaper 2 months ago. Yes, I just about managed to work that out. Thank you. Magnus MacGilded. If I had known what a monster he was, I never would have defended him.
And secondly, even more loathsome, those wily scoundrels
Who masquerade as allies, only to effect total betrayal in the final hour. In other words, the confidence tricksters from those tiny islands in the Far East. The Nipponese. Ouch! What? Did he really just say that? He means you now, Bruno. I actually managed to work that out too. Thank you, Iris. Total betrayal? What are you talking about? That torrid look of hatred in Lord Van Zeek's eyes. Was that directed solely at me, or was he talking about all Japanese people? An alarmingly scathing explanation, Lord Van Zeeks. Still, the judiciary welcomes the return of the so-called Reaper of the Bailey, feared by all London's malefactors. Your lordship is too kind. Now, jurors, the 6 of you have been selected at random to represent the will of the people in this trial.
Okay, hey, there's that revolutionary Russian guy at the right.
Okay, there's the old man from the previous case. There's the lady from the first case in England. There's the maid also from the first case, as I recall. There's Mr. Gary Depp. That was it? And then that third from the left, sorry, I don't recognize him. Are you ready to hear the evidence placed before you and determine the guilt or innocence of the defendant? Former lieutenant in the British Army here, don't you know? Chaps like me were born ready. Clean crockery, clean cutlery, and a clean conscience. His lordship's motto is very appropriate here, I think. Who's this guy?
Everything will be stereoscopic in the future.
Absolutely everything, and I'm ready for it. I don't understand it. I can't have left it in here. In there, it's not possible, but could I have? You left this scalpel inside a patient? Women indispensable in society. Stop. Female-centric future awaits. Stop. Good day. I am visiting London for sightseeing. I would like to take bus to Crystal Tower, please. Something wrong, Bruno? Oh, not exactly. It's just... I'm fairly sure I recognize these jurors. Almost all of them, in fact. Really? Funny coincidences like that do happen from time to time, don't they? But it is quite strange. The jurors are chosen at random from London's 6 million inhabitants, you know? So I've been led to believe, but something tells me I'm being duped.
Oh, excuse me.
Very well. Now, Lord Van Zeeks. The court calls upon the prosecution to introduce the facts of the case. As you wish, my lord. Allow me to begin with a word of warning to the ladies and gentlemen of the jury. In short, there has never been a more self-evident case of cold-blooded murder. The victim, Mr. Pop Windybank, proprietor of a pawn shop on Baker Street, was shot from behind and died instantly. The prosecution presents this photographic print of the crime scene. As the court will observe, there is a single bullet wound just below the gentleman's left shoulder. The evidence suggests that the bullet pierced the man's heart, resulting in near instant death. That seems pretty far to that side of the body to have pierced the man's heart, but okay. Moving on to the findings of Scotland Yard's coroner, his report states that the bullet entered the body on a rising diagonal trajectory. And what's that supposed to tell us? It means the victim was likely shot by someone significantly shorter in height than himself. Someone like the accused, you might say. The prosecution wishes to present the autopsy report and crime scene photograph as evidence, my lord. Indeed, the court accepts. Hand them to the bailiff, please. The autopsy report has been entered into the court record. Crime scene photograph has been entered into the court record. I now ask the court to turn its attention to this plan of the establishment where the incident occurred. Hold on a minute. Sorry. The proprietor was found in the storeroom where he kept articles pawned to him. A windowless room with a single point of entry, a door to the main shop that was found locked. In this sealed chamber, there were only 2 persons present. The victim was the Windy Bank and the accused. It may further interest the court to know that when the accused was discovered at the scene, she had in her hand the gun used to fire the fatal bullet. Well, that's that then, isn't it? Nothing more to say. Isn't that grubby little girl a pickpocket anyway? She's one of those filthy drabs that live in the slums in the East End. Oh, well, it was only a matter of time before she got blood on her hands then. What are the jurors waiting for? The girl's guilty! Can't jump to conclusions here. We mustn't assume her guilt because of what she has to do to survive. My learned Nipponese, a friend. It is you who mustn't jump to conclusions. The prosecution has barely begun presenting its case. Conveniently, this appalling act of murder did not go unobserved. There were witnesses. Good gracious! After their testimony, this girl's true nature will be exposed. Pitiful pickpurse or cold-hearted killer. Here's to establishing the truth. The court will take the floor plan and firearm into evidence. Hand them to the bailiff, please, Lord Van Deeks. At once, my lord. The crime scene floor plan has been entered into the court record. And Windybank's gun. This isn't good. I feel like the mood in here has turned very gloomy all of a sudden, Bruno. I think that's because it has. Let us begin. Bring forth the witnesses to the foul murder of Mr. Pop Windybank on 16th of April. Yeah, of this year. Witnesses, state your names and occupations for the court. They look shady enough. Name is Nash Skulkin. Occupation is our baddie, professional baddie. Name is Ringo Skulkin. Occupations, same as him. Tobias Gregson, Scotland Yard Inspector. That's right, we're what they call the 3 Skulkin brothers. Wait, what? He's one of them? What are you looking at me like that for? Don't lump me in with you lot. Core blimey, that's cold. Don't you know what we're going through? It's our older bruv. Lost contact with him. With him we have. So we're scouring every shorty corners of the capital, and then last night we come across you, the very spit of the bloke. Ain't that right, Ringo? Well, you know, there is a bit of that in the mustache. He is, Nash, he is. The very spit of him. So we decided there and then what we was gonna do. Ah, crap. What we was gonna do, we was gonna call ya. Big bruv sulky. Come on, leave it out, you two. Sulky Skulkin, and that's before he's run out of chips. Well then, Inspector Sulky Gregson. Begging your pardon, my lord, but the name is Tobias. What I would like to know, Inspector, is what you are doing in the witness stand. Skulkin brothers are currently under arrest, my lord, on suspicion of theft. Thieves are they, these three? No, my lord, begging your pardon, but please don't lump me in with this lot. 2 nights ago, these two brothers illegally entered an establishment with intent to burgle. And in the course of their nefarious activities, they became embroiled in a far more sinister crime. By Jove, you mean to say, what an extraordinary coincidence. Indeed, my lord, while attempting to burglarize the pawned rockery, they witnessed its proprietor's murder. Hold on. The various trespasses of these brothers is not the subject of today's proceedings, though they will naturally face trial in the very near future. With your lordship's permission, I'd like to remain in the stands to keep these gents on the straight and narrow. Of course, Inspector, skeptical as I am about the caliber of these witnesses, I will permit them to take the stand. Mr. and Mr. Skulkin. I can't listen to their name and not think of Macaulay Culkin, but okay. You will now testify before the court. Describe the events of the night in question and what exactly you saw. Happy to, because a skulkin is never skulkin. Get out of it. Illegal entry. We was walking down Baker Street in the small hours and the Gav's door was ajar, see? It was like some kind of sign begging for us to go in, it was. But once we got inside, Cor blimey lummy, we heard a gunshot from the back room. We went to see what was what, but the door was locked from the inside. We never done nothing, governor. We never took nothing. We just left after that, nice and quiet. A terrible coincidence, it would seem. At the precise moment these miscreants entered the property, an even more sinister crime was afoot. The witness's testimony is consistent with the crime scene in every detail. Yeah, so they say. The door providing access to the storeroom from the main shop was indeed locked from the inside. But there's that little... how do you call it? Little door in the door? That you can use to look inside. Couldn't you pass your arm through the opening and lock it from the other side that way? And within only the victim and the accused were found. Also, are we sure that the victim was killed with his own gun? That it wasn't some other gun? I must say, it does appear to be an overwhelmingly simple case. Still, the defense may cross-examine the witnesses now, of course. Counsel, if you please. Counsel? Yes. What's the matter, Runo? Sorry, I was just stunned into silence for a minute by the blatant lies being told by that pair in the stand. I know that it's all nonsense because I saw it with my own eyes. I'll just have to expose their testimony for the pack of lies it is. Walking down Baker Street in the small hours and the Gap's door was ajar, see? It was like some kind of sign begging for us to go in, it was. I don't see what pressing that would yield, I mean. But once we got inside, Coral blimey lummy, we heard a gunshot from the back room. Okay. A gunshot, you say? Just the one? Are you sure about that? Yup, just the one, Governor. I can swear to that. It was Nash it was, ain't that right, bruv? The firearm used belonged to the victim himself. Yes, Mr. Windybank always used to leave his gun lying around on the counter. Oh, by the way... This is Mr. Windybank's gun. The cylinder is completely empty. Ah, okay. Mr. Windybank always used to keep this gun on hand... to hand on his shop counter. I thought to look about looking whether or not there was one bullet left in it, because we already knew from him saying so that he only kept one bullet in it because he wanted to use it on himself if he should ever fail in his mission or something like that, for lack of a better term. Yes, but only ever with a single bullet loaded, I understand. That's right, to keep all the pawned articles that were in his care safe. But his one bullet was fired that night and the poor man lost his life. Yeah, okay. Okay then. I can put that theory to rest. Was he protecting his shop, I wonder, trying to keep the articles safe? Yeah, well, there doesn't seem to be anything else distinctive about it. I still think it could have been shot through the little window. In the door, I mean. He has his back turned to the door and everything. Okay, let's see. Dr. Stevens, coroner. He died between 1 to 1:30 a.m. Reporting party. Ryunosuke Naruhodo. Postmortem findings. Single bullet wound in upper half of the victim's back. No other visible signs of trauma. Autopsy findings. Instant death from a posterior anterior bullet wound to the heart. The bullet entered the body from the back. Yeah, okay, that's important. On a gently rising diagonal trajectory. When we examined it, we found the revolver was completely out of rounds. That makes sense. Mr. Windybank always used to say he only ever kept a single bullet loaded. That's true, I remember him saying that as well.
So we can say with considerable certainty
that only a single round was discharged from the firearm used as the murder weapon. Yes, my lord, we can. And I should remind the court that the firearm in question was discovered in the hand of the accused. Wonderful. We went to see what was what, but the door was locked from the inside. Do you mean the door between the main shop and the storeroom? If my learned friend is having difficulty grasping the situation, perhaps a drawing would help? Excluding the shop's entrance from the street, there is only one other door, that of the storeroom.
because there was only a little oil lamp burning, not much to see by.
The door was hidden behind the curtain and all. That's right. When we arrived, the door was mostly obscured by the curtain. Tell me, why exactly did you try to open that door? Any normal petty thief would run at the sound of a gunshot, I should think. Oh, well, you turned to your turn to rabbit, Ringo. Well, Nash, yeah. I suppose you'd have to say we ain't normal, eh? Broadly speaking, humans respond in one of two ways on hearing a gunshot or a scream. The timid flee gripped by fear, while the courageous investigate to see if they might help. These gentlemen are of the latter inclination. My learned Nipponese friend, it would seem, is of the former. Alright, someone had just proved that I was a coward that night. Thank you, Counsel. So I believe we all understand that the door was locked and could not be opened. Proceed, witnesses. We never done nothing, Governor. We never took nothing. We just left after that, nice and quiet. I think they're lying through their teeth, that's what I think. And I'm going to prove it. What is it, Iris? Well, I'm not really sure. There's just something a bit funny about that prosecutor over there. Wait, could this testimony be some sort of trap? We was walking down Baker Street in the small hours and the gaff's door was ajar, see? Okay, I pressed this one, the last one I didn't. You didn't do or take anything? Is that your story? Well, it was Bedlam soon as weren't it? It was Nash, it was. Didn't even have time to pull me dukes out me Lucy lockets. So with no time to take your hands out of your pockets, you just left nice and quietly, you say? That's right, Governor. Nothing we ate more than violence. Peace-loving nibblers we are, not bludgers. We are, Nash, we are. Never even pulled me dukes out of me Lucy lockets. So you'd clearly like us to believe. Yeah, come again? As you fled from the pawnbrokers that night, did you not run into anyone else? And did you not fire a gun at that disposal? Saints alive, they fired a gun, you say? Ah! Blimey, Governor! You ain't telling us it was you in the doorway. It was. Why the bleeding Nora? Didn't you mention that before? You were armed with a gun, and as you fled the scene, you fired that gun at London's greatest detective, Sherlock Holmes. They shot the great Mr. Sholmes? I did hear that, actually. There was a rumor he'd been rushed to hospital. The great Sholmes? That's beyond the pale. On the night in question, this pair were arrested by the police within minutes of the discovery of the crime scene. Their suspicious countenance rapidly gave them away. And when searched, a firearm was indeed found in their possession. Furthermore, the barrel shows signs of a shot having been fired from it. The prosecution invites his lordship to examine the firearm recovered from these brothers. Yes, indeed, remnants of powder around the muzzle, as you say, counsel. The court will hold this weapon as evidence. The Skulkin brothers' gun has been entered into the court record. Now, my learned Nipponese friend. Yes. Here's to you successfully presenting the evidence. For yes, there are the telltale signs of spent powder on this gun and a single bullet missing from the cylinder. But the prosecution demands evidence that was fired at the scene of the crime under scrutiny in this trial. Well, I don't need evidence, because I was there. However, the rest of us in this courtroom were not. If the defense fails to provide evidence in support of its rash claim, we shall have no choice but to toast your incompetence and move on. Evidence that these two fired that gun before they left Windy Banks that night? Well, this, no. Shouldn't that be enough? The court demands that all claims are affirmed with clear proof. What evidence shows that these witnesses unloaded the firearm in the pawnbroker's shop that night? Is that it? The evidence is in this portfolio. What on earth have you there, counsel? During the course of our investigations, we discovered a number of bloodstains. Not trusting the police to do the job they're trained to do? How arrogantly Nipponese of you. Well, anyway, we analyzed all the blood samples we found and recorded the results in this portfolio. And you claim to have the evidence the court is demanding therein? Yes, my lord. No more dallying then, counsel. Present the pertinent evidence at once. What do you have in your portfolio that proves these witnesses unloaded a firearm at the scene? What is that? Explain. It's a photographic print taken at Windy Bank's pawnbrokery on the day of the incident. From the scene of the crime, is it? Is that a bullet hole? And if my eyes do not deceive me, it appears the bullet is still lodged there. Yes, as your lordship noticed, the bullet pierced Mr. Windybank's calendar. The date shown being the 16th of April, the very day of the pawnbroker's death. The incident occurred at 1 hour after midnight, but this indicates that a separate shot has been fired sometime after the calendar has been set to the 16th. That's right, and while it isn't irrefutable, the defense believes this is credible evidence that the witnesses did fire a round from their gun in the pawnbrokers that night. Idioty! No? Hordar, how does the prosecution stand, Lord Van Zeeks? If that is the direction my learned friend wishes to take, the prosecution has no objection. What? But you'll forgive me for flinging my hallowed chalice aside in disgust at the repugnancy it exposes. Yes, on the night in question, these brothers entered the pawnbrokery illegally. And like the bold baddies, they claim to be opened fire on the new arrivals before fleeing back onto the street. Eh? Take it easy there, governor. You're gonna land us in the soup. We had a deal. We weren't gonna get into them details. Tell him, Sulky. Set the bloke straight. I have nothing to add. So he knew, did he? Van Zeeks knew their testimony would almost certainly expose the extent of their crimes. It would seem now that I owe my learned Nipponese friend a word of gratitude. What do you mean? What I mean is that you have helpfully confirmed an important fact. To what fact do you refer, Lord Van Zeeks? As has been established at the point of their arrest, a single shot had been fired from the brother's gun. However, if that shot found its target in Mr. Sholmes, then clearly these witnesses cannot be accused of the fatal shooting of the proprietor and victim. Arg! In other words, these two men have no material connection to the murder of Mr. Windybank at all. So that's it. Morons. That's it, we didn't have nothing to do with it. We didn't, Nash, we didn't. That's what I reckon. Your crimes include unlawful entry, intent to steal, perjury, and let us not forget attempted murder. Quite a catalog, eh, fellas? We're in for it now, bruv. Now then, let us take a moment to consider the aforementioned great detective, Mr. Sherlock Sholmes. It would seem the man patronized the pawnbrokers in question somewhat regularly. Where is he going with this? Mr. Sholmes appears to take pleasure in tinkering with eccentric machinery. Eccentric? Says who? Not me. Don't give me that look. He installed a pair of machines like this one in the victim's shop. Oh yeah, I forgot about these actually. That's one of Early's red-handed recorders. What is that, Counsel? It has the appearance of a photographic contraption. As your lordship has surmised, it is indeed a camera attached to a small timing device. Every half an hour, it automatically
Photographs the interior of the establishment. The idea being that if a thief
were to break into the shop, he would be caught red-handed. The prosecution has obtained the photographs taken by the device on the night in question. As the court will observe, copious and identical prints are produced in quite desultory fashion. Rather prodigal, I feel. In fact, there are 2 such devices in the victim's shop, my lord. If I may refer the court to the plan of the premises, their respective positions are here and here. You say these cameras produce a print every half hour? I'm afraid I fail to see how that would help if the anticipated thief conducted his activities in one of the many 30-minute intervals. One can only pray that the would-be criminal lingers, my lord. On the night in question, the witness currently in the stand were not caught on camera. Hey, that's a bit of fire talk, eh, bruv? Lady Luck loves a skulkin. Witnesses, at that time, did your trespassing begin? It must have been just after 1, right, bruv? Must have been, Nash, must have been. Yeah. In which case, minutes before these brothers entered the establishment, what scene might we expect to see within the shop? Let us examine the evidence. Good lord, it's the defendant. Miss Gina Lestrade. As the court can clearly see, the accused is pictured, gun in hand, facing the victim over the shop counter. No doubt coercing the proprietor to open the door to his storeroom, sorry. Quite, one can only too easily imagine the events that unfolded. The court will take this photographic print as evidence, if you please, counsel.
Oh boy.
I don't believe it. Jeannie! In short, the accused is the only person who could possibly have killed Mr. Windybank. Wonder if I might put in a word at this point. Go ahead, Mr. Foreman. Took a bully bullet to the knee in the Battle of Maywand, 1880, don't you know? Decorated for it and all that, but forced to retire from service, sadly. Of course, metal can never outshine the exploits of chaps like us on the battlefield. Yes, Mr. Foreman, and what exactly is your point? Carried on the battle after retirement, you see the battle of daily life, if you like. And here I am now, leading the small squadron, 6 men, all good and true. And we'll go down together, you mark my words, one for all and all for one. The ladies and gentlemen of our jury have reached agreement, have they? Is that what we are to understand? What? Well, Mr. Foreman, is that correct? In a manner of speaking, yes, that is the Garrett Up Squadron's position, sir. What? No, it's too soon to make a judgment here. Status report for the court, men on the double. His lordship insists on promptitude at all times, and that goes for making decisions too. I wouldn't have left it in there, I just wouldn't. But in all honesty, I can't actually remember. Situation clear, stop, no doubt for doubt, stop. Truth now undeniable. Stop. I'm very sorry for brothers. They are unlucky. Very well. I see how... I now call upon each member of the jury to state his or her opinion, or something like that.
有罪
有罪
有罪有罪
有罪
有罪
That's a great start.
It does indeed appear that the jury is unanimous in its leaning already. Photograph. It must be the definitive evidence that Gregson mentioned. But Gideon didn't shoot him. No, of course not. The defense wishes to assert its right to blah blah blah. Final kiss of the game, I see. Yep. Yeah, I am. Hello, Red Gamely. So, you refuse to admit defeat again. How? Unsurprising. We shall proceed immediately with the summation examination. Mr. Foreman, are all members of the jury ready? Absolutely, sir. Always ready for action, my chaps. Very good. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, you will each explain on what grounds you have determined the defendant to be guilty. The jurors' contentions. All the evidence clearly points the finger of guilt at this young pickpocketian. As a housemaid, I should like to see all filthy eyesores promptly and rigorously eliminated. I think you'll find that if you look at that photograph in stereo, the truth will just pop out. If I have left it in there, I should think there will be repercussions by now. Mind made up. Stop. Global radio transmission of verdict to follow. Stop. I think it's too long. In Motherland we say never judge by clothes, judge by head. I am convinced brothers are innocent. The circumstance of the victim and the evidence do indeed implicate the defendant rather comprehensively. The storeroom locked from the inside, in which the victim and the accused were discovered alone. And in the accused's hand, the fatal revolver, the firing of which was heard by these witnesses. Well, he looks like the revolutionary Russian guy from the newspaper in the... which case was it again? The second case of the game, I believe. Yeah, the only one I don't know is the third from the left, the one with the stereoscopic things in front of his eyes. I think we haven't seen him yet in the game at this point, so the others I recognize them though, obviously. Not to mention this print. Well, I want to have a look at this print actually. Take it from a chap who's seen action on the battlefield that young girl's on the verge of pulling the bullet trigger. Thanks a lot, Mr. Sholmes. Oh dear, Early's cameras were supposed to help, not hinder. I'm afraid I think you have an uphill struggle ahead of you. First time you see him and Juror 4 is new, even though she looks the same. Oh? Yeah, because I thought it was the same woman. The one with the typewriter. But Gina didn't shoot Mr. Windybank. Which means there's more to this situation that we've yet to see. Agreed. You have the floor, counsel. Proceed with the summation examination. Yeah, nope. Jury examination. The defense's rebuttal. Yeah, hold on a minute. I want to have another look at this photographic print. Yeah, I don't suppose it could be someone else, right? So, there's ammunition still loaded in 5 of this revolver's 6 cylinders. Yes, which tells us that only a single shot has been fired from it. Exactly. The bullet that hit early, in fact, isn't it? Yes, it happened almost as soon as we'd walked in through Windy Bank's door. I'll make those brothers pay. Wait, is there something else I should note? Yeah, I wanted to hear what this guy has to say. What's he talking about? What exactly have you been muttering about all this time, sir? You keep talking about having left something somewhere or something like that. Ah, yeah. Yeah, okay, yeah, this is the one you said is not the same then. You said he looks the same, but he's not the same. Yeah, he looks like the grandpa from the previous case, I believe it was. The one that was hard of hearing. There is a secret which is revealed at the end of the first game in the photograph, though don't look for it. Okay. Ah, so sorry. As you can probably tell, I'm a surgeon. A surgeon? That totally passed me by. Of course, people conducting surgery in this country aren't considered to be doctors. Oh no. Even though me and my kind are at the forefront of medical science, the real brains in the field. So what is it that you think you've left behind? Ah, well, that's a little embarrassing to be honest. You see, I was operating on someone yesterday, standard thing, went it through the abdomen. Juror 5 is also different. But when I finished the procedure, I couldn't find my scalpel anywhere. What? Did he? Surely not. Exactly, surely not, you said to yourself. Don't you? Worrying, isn't it? That's what's been troubling me this whole time. Could I really have left my scalpel inside the fellow's belly? No, of course I couldn't. So there you have it. Like I said, a little embarrassing really. That's one way of putting it. The other is manslaughter. That's exactly my concern, and seeing as this case appears to be all but sewn up, I need to focus on trying to remember exactly what I've sewn up elsewhere. Now, I'm sure I made sure everything was back as it should be. Well, sure as you can be without being sure. I'm sure you need to be more sure. Mind made up. Stop global radio transmissions of verdict to follow. Stop. Ah, yeah, I guess she doesn't have a typewriter, this one. She has a telegraph. Mata! Sorry, radio transmission, what do you mean? Are you from the Far East? Stop. Yes, from the Empire of Japan. All communication with Far Eastern nations used to take place by mail. Royal Mail steamers take more than a month to complete the journey. Juror number 6. Yes, comrade, what do you want? Comrade? That sounds ominous. I was just wondering if that last statement had made you realize something, that's all. Yeah, okay. Ah, there is one thing. Yes, go on. English language is very difficult. You must study very hard. I think it every time I speak with this man. Who on earth was responsible for selecting these jurors? In Motherland, we say never judge by clothes, judge by head. I am convinced brothers are innocent. Please tell me you're not villain Bolshevik, the Russian revolutionary. Revolutionary? Ah, I believe there is such a rumor. It's just a rumor? As you see, I have unfortunate appearance. I look like vicious criminal. Your words, not mine. Just want to point that out. People call me revolutionary, murderer, autocrat. And which glove fits? Good day, I am visiting London for sightseeing. I would like to take bus to Crystal Tower, please. Right, that didn't sound staged at all. You'll forgive me for having my doubts. To be treated like vicious criminal all the time, it is very painful. People do not realize, so I have much sympathies for these brothers. People say they are criminals only because of how they look. The Skulkin brothers? Maybe they went inside pawnbroker's shop. But they have done nothing wrong. That is all I want to say. Skulking Brothers did nothing wrong that night? Alright, well, first of all, that's one not so little misunderstanding I'll need to clear up straight away. Tell me something, Iris. What is it, Runo? The jurors are chosen at random from the inhabitants of London town, aren't they? Yes, it's amazing, isn't it? In that case, how is it that there's a Russian tourist sitting among them who looks for all the world like a revolutionary? I wish I knew. If I can't change the minds of more than half of these 6 jurors, the trial would be over. But we know that Ginny would never shoot anyone. Yes, so we need to find contradictions in what these jurors are saying and pit them against each other. I must be ready to go to whatever length. I have to convince them of Gina's innocence. All the evidence clearly points the finger of guilt at this young pickpocketian. I haven't pressed for this guy yet, so... You're Mr. Natsume's landlord, Mr. Garidep, aren't you? We really must stop meeting like this. Oh, you're that lawyer chap. Well, there's a turn up for the books. Oh my god, this translation changed so much. Megundal was changed to Magildet. And in the original translation, he admits that he is the revolutionary. Ah, okay. Yes, rather a turbulent time we had back then. Some extraordinary events took place at your house, that's for sure. Luckily, Mr. Sholmes and I were able to get to the bottom of it all. I think we did rather a lot for you, didn't we? I mean, obviously, I wouldn't be suggesting that therefore you should change your leaning to not guilty or anything. Can't be denied, I suppose. The curse of the Garideb house was the talk of the town after that business. Lodgers moved out, and I couldn't get a bally soul to take up the tenancies. I haven't had the heart to break the news to Joanny yet. Bad enough that the old girl's clapped up. Yes, can't be denied. You did do rather a lot. But not for us, that's for dash certain. I suppose not. Course. There can be no suggestion of that being the reason I'm leaning towards guilty here, obviously. Obviously, but not honestly. I really wish you'd pay more attention to the trial and less to the juror number 2. As a housemaid, I should like to see all filthy eyesores promptly and rigorously eliminated. Polishing the bench, I see. Again. A maid's work is never done. Not a blemish must remain. What exactly do you mean by filthy eyesores? On my way to market for his lordship, I have to pass through the East End. You know why she was silent when he says he wants to see the Crystal Tower? It's because he's rumored to want to blow up the Crystal Tower. Well, don't say, because now if that's supposed to be revealed later, now I already know. A little harsh, perhaps. Let me be plain. If it were up to me, all those black slums would be made spick and span or eradicated. At least we have people like the great detective working to achieve these important goals. You're referring to Mr. Sherlock Sholmes? That's right, I like to keep abreast of his exploits by reading Ranced magazines in between my duties. He does wonders cleaning up London streets. In my opinion, he should be declared an honorary maid of the capital. Mr. Sholmes? A maid? It's really quite unforgivable. Gutter scum having the audacity to shoot our very greatest detective. Minor detail, it was the 2 brothers in the stand who shot Mr. Sholmes, not the defendant. A minor detail indeed, they're all gutter scum as far as I'm concerned. Well, it just might be an idea to get our facts straight anyway. Yes, alright, I shall amend my statement. Those brothers are the scum of the earth. They should swing for shooting the great detective. Wait, hold on. I haven't listened to what the third one has to say. What do you mean, look at the photograph in stereo? Sorry, what? Don't you know? If you look at the photographic print normally, it looks as though the pickpocket girl is about to shoot the victim, obviously. But there's no indication that the defendant ever fired the gun. All I'm saying is that if you look at the same print in stereo, it could reveal all sorts of new information. But we only have one picture though, by any chance. Are you a fan of stereoscopes? Oh, how did you know? Let's call it a lucky guess. It never gets old seeing the two prints merge into one before your eyes. It's extraordinary, it's captivating, it's the height of modernity. Of course. Oh yes, I think you'll find that the stereoscope is here to stay. Giving us new perspectives we could only dream of before. It's the greatest invention the world has ever seen. If only it could give me a new perspective on this case, I might agree with you. Okay, let's see. Yeah, hold on, let me save here, perhaps. I'm not sure. I've already listened to everyone, but, these two? Those two statements clearly contradict each other. Good lord. Counsel, explain yourself. Oops, sorry. Oh my statement? Contradictory? Contradict. C-O-N. Juror number 6, you've got the wrong end of the stick. I do not have stick, I have mouse. As juror number 2 said earlier, when the Skulkin brothers fled the scene on the night in question, they fired a shot from their revolver. Yes, they shot poor Mr. Sholmes in the abdomen, I understand. Surely you're not going to tell the court now that you didn't hear. Abdomen, A-B-D. Sir? Sorry, my English is still learning. You are telling the court you didn't hear? Forgive me, I did not hear. Here is word, abdomen, part of person's body containing stomach and other vital organs. If this is what you mean, you should say in plain English, I am Russian, not native speaker. Who thought it was a good idea to let this man be on the jury again? So, you aren't telling me these brothers who look like criminals were lying? They said before we never done nothing, but truth is, they shot detective. Duh. This is double negative. Yes, that's exactly right. Lying is wrong, especially when lie is said by a person who looks like criminal. Coming from you, that seems surprisingly prejudiced. Searches for the word shooting. When they said we never took nothing, maybe it was also a big fat lie. Is this true? Well, according to the police reports, no stolen goods were found, so... Enough! I trust no one now. It's not the mouse's fault, though, sir. I must see with own eyes. I must investigate crime scene myself. I'm afraid that won't be Yes, it is, Bruno. Easily. Sorry. With the prints from Early's red-ended recorder. If you compare the print that pictures Ginny and the next print from half an hour later, you'll be able to see straight away if anything was taken or not. Cooey, Mr. Prosecutor. Tut. Calling on the prosecution in the middle of a summation examination of all times. The print showing the accused threatening the victim after she broke into the shop is this one. Following this, the victim and the accused moved into the storeroom. Meanwhile, the Skulkin brothers entered the shop and summarily heard the fatal gunshot ring out. Sadly, none of these events were captured on film. This is the print produced by the camera half an hour later after the brothers' flight. So this was taken after Early was shot then. As far as I can tell, nothing has been taken. That does seem to be the case. I can't notice anything that's obviously missing in the second print. The lamp is broken. So the brothers who look like criminals told only one lie. They shot man, but they stole nothing. It would seem so, yes. Good. No, not good. You were right. I did not understood the situation. Now I know brothers have lied. I think it is very important to continue with trial. Forgot the nickname. It's also different. It's Runo, but it's supposed to be Ryu. Ah, yeah, okay. Yeah, well done, Runo. The balance is shifting. Well, it's a start, I suppose. But there must be more in what these jurors are saying that I can use to expose the truth. And if I can do that, we just might turn the situation to our favor still. Thank you, Counsel. Continue with the Summation Examination. And kindly hand that new photographic print to the bailiff to be filed as evidence. Okay. Another print of the court record. I wonder if we can make use of that. Why, I can't point it out? Well, yeah, the lamp is broken. What's Iris's nickname for Holmes again? Early. If I can't change the minds of more than half of these 6 jurors, the trial is over. But we know that Ginny would never shoot anyone. Yes, so we need to find contradictions in what these jurors are saying and pit them against each other. I must be ready to go to whatever length I have to convince them of Gina's innocence. Yeah, don't give any hints, please. All the evidence clearly points the finger of guilt at young Pippo Cotien. Well, yeah, he could look at the pictures in stereo, like he said. What do you mean, look at them in stereo? Sorry, what? Don't you know if you look at a photographic print normally? Yeah, but now that I have 2... Hold on. Yeah, this is still the same. Never get sold seeing the 2 prints merge into one before your eyes. Yeah, hold on. Yeah, I can't ask for help anyway, even if I wanted to. Oh, because he's changed his mind, I can't pit him against anyone anymore? In Lake of Lies there are many dead fish. We must find truth, therefore I say not guilty verdict. Yeah, no, don't tell me. I should be able to find it. I'm gonna save also, by the way, so I don't make any mistakes. Yeah, maybe I should have a look at the evidence also. I haven't had a look at this yet. There's a sensational story lower down the front page as well. Look, Ministry Mole. Classified secrets may have been leaked overseas from Ministry of Justice. For a 10-year-old, Iris certainly has a finger on the pulse of world news. It's about secret communications between Great Britain and its allies. Apparently they're being intercepted by hostile nations. Communications are being intercepted, but how would somebody be doing that? That's the question, isn't it? I've come up with 3 different possible methods so far. Are you looking for a new career, Runo? No, of course not. I wonder. Perhaps this is what Lord Strongheart was talking about yesterday. Yes, it could be, and it could explain why he has Gregsy running from pillar to post at the moment. Okay, because that I hadn't looked at yet. Pawnbroker perishes in big purse plunder. How awful. For Ginny, I mean. But tomorrow's headline will be Discharged Diver is Dauntless Do-Gooder, right? Yes, something like that. If possible, I'd like to go even bigger. Bigger? How? Proud Pickpocket protects planet post-trial. Perhaps. Protects planet? Oh, I can't wait for tomorrow now. It's going to be so great. Okay. Holmesy in the original. But here it's Sholmes, so and it's Herlock instead of Sherlock, so they would have had to change it anyway. Well, the other pieces of evidence, I think I've already looked at them, so... Yeah, when I look at them both like that, also, the thing at the back seems to have moved, no? Does she still say Geen Bean? I've never heard that, so I guess not. Those brothers are the scum of the earth. They should swing for shooting the great detective. These two, perhaps. No. Okay, that's wrong. But now I haven't looked at the... I saved before looking at the newspaper, I believe. Okay. A nickname for Gina, and it's spelled Jean Bean. No, it's Jeannie. Very simply, her nickname. Yeah, Iris calls her Ginny. What's that thing about a global transmission? What's that got to do with anything? No, that's obviously incorrect. I don't see any correlation between the things that these people are saying. And I can't present anything. Let me hear again what you were saying. You're Mr. Natsumid landlord, Mr. Garrett, aren't you? We really must stop meeting like this. Yeah, but that's the same conversation as before, so... No, not yet, no. I really want to figure this out. You're that lawyer chap. There's a turn up for the books. Yeah, well, this is all the same so far. Wait. Wait, hold on. The surgeon and the maid, maybe? Because I get the feeling that he operated on Sholmes, so... No? No, okay, this is incorrect. Okay. There's only 4 of them. So that... Well, no, well, 5 of them left is what I should say. So there can't be too many different combinations, right? Hmm. I can't show him the 2 pictures, so why is he saying that? Yeah, I know all that. You already said so, but I have 2 pictures now, and I still can't look at them in stereo. And I can't really point out but by examining the picture that I noticed the broken lamp, so... No, I had already looked at that actually. Yeah, okie dokie. Does the door appear to have moved between the 2? Here you can see the little window, I guess. Hey, wait, here you can't see it. Why is that? The little opening in the door, you can't see it here. Yeah, that's another difference. Huh. Well, I almost missed that. Well, I can try all combinations. There aren't too many of them anyway, so... Hopefully something comes out of this. That's not it. Okay, so this guy has nothing to do with the rest then. Okay, that's not it either. Oh yeah, I already tried these 2 actually. If I can't pit people anymore. Yeah, that's incorrect, but I expected it. Well, I also expected it, so oh yeah, that I already tried. Okay, this is not gonna work. I'm trying everything I can since I can't figure out what else to do. Okay, that leaves only 2. Okay, so it's not pitting people together then? I've exhausted all the possible combinations. Whatever the solution is, it's not obvious. Okay, I can't pit anyone at the moment. So there must be something else I have to do. But what? By the way, I can't press this guy anymore, so if I can't change the minds of more than yeah, well, okay, but we know that Ginny would never shoot anyone, etc., etc. Yeah, that no change there. I agree with you. The shooting of Mr. Sholmes was an unforgivable act. But the purpose of this trial is to determine who shot the pawnbroker, Mr. Windybank. I'm afraid you're splitting hairs, sir. Sorry. Whether it was the thieves or the pickpurse, it was still gutter trash that shot the pawnbroker in the end. Filth that should be cleaned up and eradicated. In my considered opinion. Thanks so much for sharing. Changing this maid's mind isn't going to be easy. Bruno, it was one of those 2 brothers that shot early, wasn't it? Yes, without question. Well, then I'll never forgive them. Oh, Iris. Perhaps we can use this maid's statement to help us somehow, do you think? Yes, maybe. Let's listen carefully to what each juror has to say first. Did she change her... No, no change there. Maybe I have to listen to them more than once. What exactly have you been muttering about all this time? Sir, this is the same text as before. Or maybe now that I've had a look at the newspaper, the lady sending radio signals, maybe that has something to do with it. Yeah, this is the same as before. Yeah, sorry, radio transmission, what do you mean? Are you from the Far East? Stop. Yes, from the Empire of Japan. Have I already listened to this? I can't even tell anymore. All communication with Far Eastern... Yeah, she already said that. Yeah, Royal Mail steamers take more than a month to complete the journey. Now we have the electric telegram, so we can send messages using electrical signals. Thousands of miles of cables have been laid along the ocean beds connecting the entire world. Makes my head hurt just thinking about it. You are well informed, young lady. Hehe. But cables will soon become a thing of the past. Stop. And just when I was starting to catch up. Radio transmission is the fear to stop. Messages carried over airwaves to 4 corners of globe. Stop. Excitement growing. Stop. Atmosphere electric. Stop. Right. Try not to wear out your fingers. Era of wireless telegraphy. Stop. Driving technology revolution. Stop. And people say inventions like the stereoscope are the height of technology. What utter piffle. I feel like I haven't heard this before, no? Well, this is new. Okay. Okay. Well, this seems to be new. Juror number 3, sorry to yeah, I guess I talked to her first, then I talked to him. Whereas I should have been doing it in reverse, perhaps. Juror number 3, sorry to interrupt when you're obviously fuming, but... What? Do you perhaps have something to say about juror number 5's last remark? As if I couldn't guess. Oh, you bet I do! Say that again, go on, I dare you! Goodness, are you talking to me? I think it just might be, yes. You think stereoscopes are just toys, do you, huh? Absolutely, I mean, really, a machine to view photographs in 3 dimensions? Why on earth would you not just use your eyes to look at the world around you? It's all 3-dimensional. What a great way to appease the man. No, I'm sorry, stereoscopes are of no practical use at all. You just don't know. Pardon? I think you'll find that viewing a photograph through a stereoscope can unlock all sorts of possibilities. I'm obviously going to have to demonstrate. Ah, okay, yeah. Now we may be getting somewhere then. What sort of possibilities? Well, take a crime scene for example. If you had a pair of photographs from a crime scene that you could view through a stereoscope, it could reveal hidden clues you'd never even noticed before. What? Have you got any, Runo? Any prints we could look at with the stereoscope? Yes, absolutely. How about this print here? It should do the trick, I think. Could I? Alright then, juror number 3. Are you saying you can do this with any 2 suitable photographic prints? Of course I can. Very well then, I'd like you to demonstrate. I'd be delighted to. Just give me one more print and I'll amaze you all. Alright, these 2 prints were both taken with the same camera in Windy Banks on the night in question. Yes, I see. Tell me, Mr. Lawyer. Do you know how stereographic images work? Do you understand the principle? Well, I think so. I did have a lesson only yesterday. The left and right eye images need to be the same, only with a slight shift in the positions of some objects. Yeah, right. But then when your brain merges the 2 images together inside your head, it notices the shift as if it were depth. Yes, exactly. It's that small shift between certain objects in the 2 pictures that's really important. So what happens if you use 2 photographs that are exactly the same then? No, obviously that wouldn't work at all. Not for seeing the scene 3-dimensionally anyway. Oh! Of course, now I see. Ah, I think the young girl has discovered the secret. I have. Can you uncross your eyes before you tell me? Have another look at these 2 pictures from Early's camera, Runo. Go on. Can you see that there's a really obvious difference between them? I see 2 differences. So, and then again, what I said before about the objects in the background seemingly not being in exactly the same spot, they also appear to not be in exactly the same spot. The stack of books with the skull on it, and the doll that's right next to it, they seem to be shifted ever so slightly more to the right on the photo that is later in the evening. So that's 3 differences I can see at least. The broken lamp, the missing little panel on the door, and the shifted books. And all. Of course there are 2 people in the first and no people in the second. Well, yes, you can see that straight away, but now try looking at the pictures in 3 dimensions. Alright, I'll give it a go. So to start with, you have to cross your eyes. Yeah, well, screw that, I'm not doing it. I don't need that to see where the differences are. Let's see if by crossing my eyes I can make the quill pens from each picture overlap in the middle. Wait. Well, did you manage to see it properly, Runo? I saw 3 things without having to cross my eyes. What's going on with these 2 pictures? Some of the things on the counter sort of jump out at you. Yes, that's it, you see? That's the other amazing power of stereoscopes. Other amazing power? Someone going to explain this black magic, eh? Why the Jews do some of the things on the counter seem to jump out at you like that, huh? I think you'll find that if you consider the basic principle of the stereoscope, you'll answer your own question. Basic principles of the stereoscope? As I said before, if you try to look at 2 identical pictures using the stereoscope, it won't work at all. It's the slight shift in the positions of certain objects that lets you see pictures 3-dimensionally. In other words, even though at first glance it seems the objects on the counter haven't moved at all between the 2 pictures, this shows that actually there must have been a slight shift in their positions. Yes, there must have been.
Now hold fire there, sir. Got a reasonable grasp of this whole cross-eyed business now, I'd say.
But why the devil does this shift between the 2 prints exist in the first place? Well, what's the answer, fellow? Come on, you're the cross-eyed master. What, me? I haven't the first idea. You know, Reno, it's quite simple. It is. Just thinking through step by step. The first photograph was taken at 1 AM. Then 30 minutes later, the second photograph was taken. But the position of some items on the counter appears to have shifted slightly in the interim, so that means that sometime in the half-hour interval, someone must have tampered with the things on the counter. Zookers! Someone tampered? New information, stop. Not mentioned in testimony so far, stop. Yes, we've had to go around in circles a little here, it seems, but I'm starting to see what I should be aiming at in this summation examination now. Ladies and gentlemen, the question now is clear. We know the items on the countertop were moved, but by whom? Are you suggesting you might know? Of course. Him? That doesn't seem correct. Oh, okay, that's incorrect. Okay, my bad. Well, any of the 2 guys then, no? It was the witnesses currently in the stand, the Skulkin brothers. Wait, this does not agree with what brothers said in testimony before. They said they did not even have time to pull jukes from Lucy Lockets. The phrasebook says jukes is meaning hands and Lucy Lockets is meaning pockets. But is this another lie? Poor mouse. Is this what you are saying? Yes, I'm afraid so. No, hold on there a minute. You can't be sure of that. Quite agreed. The accused is a common pick purse after all. It's perfectly possible that she went through the things on the desk to see what she might steal. I think that's unlikely. And why exactly? As you can see from this photographic print, the defendant was pointing a gun at the victim. It would seem, as my learned friend indicated, that she was coercing Mr. Windybank to open the storeroom door. In other words, Miss Lestrad's interests lay within the storeroom, not in the main shop, giving her no reason to touch anything on the counter. All of which points to one thing. The Skulkin brothers have omitted key facts in their testimony. But the accused is a pick purse. Come on, gutter trash. Why look any further for the wrongdoer here? Because the Skulkin brothers are thieves, madam. No better, in fact worse than a pick purse. I believe that these brothers were looking for something on the victim's counter that night. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, if you would condemn the defendant on the grounds that she's a pickpocket, would it not at least be right and proper to thoroughly scrutinize testimony given against her by 2 thieves? Well said. I, for one, would like to hear more from that shady pair. He headbutts the thing. Can you all see now? I think you'll find stereoscopes aren't playthings. You've seen their extraordinary power or something.
Wholeheartedly agree. Stop. My purchase of the trial. Stop. Will return home via Regent Street. Stop.
Must purchase. Ah, yeah, sorry. Alright. Well, it would seem this trial has yet to run its course. The ladies and gentlemen of the jury have declared their inclinations via the mighty skills of justice. I hereby call this summation examination to conclusion with the balance altered in the defendant's favor. 2 lean to guilty, 4 lean to not guilty. Accordingly, the jury is without consensus. And I order this trial to continue. Yay! Well done! Oh, by the way. What? You should hold on to this, Bruno. You never know when it might come in useful. Twice in one trial would be unusual, surely, but alright. The stereoscope has been entered into the court record. Lord Van Zeeks. You will instruct the witnesses that the court demands additional testimony from them. Is he gonna break his chalice again? I'm sure it won't spoil the bouquet to do so, my lord.
I've won myself another chance to probe that
Pair about their activities that night, at least. And I won't stop probing them until I've proven that Gina is innocent. Ah, to be continued, okay. We're one step closer. Order, please. Let us resume proceedings. Witnesses, you will now retake the stand. I presume you heard the defense counsel's summation examination? Oh, yeah, Governor. I did, Gov. I did. Mr. and Mr. Skulkin. Core, blimey! This is going to be hard work. Earlier in this trial, you gave the following testimony about your actions after you entered Windy Banks. Well, it was bedlam soon as, weren't it? It was, Nash, it was. Didn't even have time to pull me jukes out of me Lucy Luckets. However, that was a lie. You brothers. Core, blimey! On the night in question, you rifled through the items on the victim's counter. We never done nothing of the sort. How'd you figure that out? You will now give formal testimony once again. You will tell the court precisely what happened on the night in question. And this time you will tell the truth. Each lie that passes your lips serves to increase the severity of your punishment. And that, gentlemen, may deal a crushing blow to your chances of ever seeing the light of day again. A thought worth pondering, perhaps. Say no more, Gov. We hear ya. We'll blab, we'll squeak, we'll peach. Illegal entry, the whole truth. Alright, we did knock a few things over, but we weren't rifling for nothing. It was when we heard the gunshots, see, made us both jump and all that stuff went flying. Lummy, it didn't have give me a fright. We was thinking the shooter had come out the door and get us next. We stuck everything back where we found it and scarpered straight into him in the black. We couldn't have shot the pawnbroker, see? We never even had a chance, did we? That's arguable. So you admitted the defense's accusation. You did indeed ransack Mr. Windybank's countertop on the night in question. Not ransack, Governor, no. That's right, Nash, that's right. It's more like we tidied up, yeah. Oh, sorry. By their own admission, these brothers entered the pawnbrokery under dubious circumstances. However, they panicked and fled on hearing the gunshot, having first made good their mess. The way you say it, we hardly sound like roughs at all. We don't, Nash, we don't. Can he make us sound a bit more cutthroat? Can't just be coincidence that these men showed up at Windy Banks that night. There's more to their testimony than meets the eye, I'm sure of it. Illegal entry, the whole truth. Alright, we did knock a few things over, but we weren't rifling for nothing. I want to press on the last one specifically. And why should we believe that? What? Well, cause it's true, innit? The place was totally empty when we went in. At that time, the victim was already in the storeroom, having been forced to open the door by the accused who had a gun to his head. Huh? Wait, what? What was that he said? How would you know that that she had a gun to his head? That's very specific, or maybe he speaks in general. He doesn't mean it literally. In other words, on the night in question, these two witnesses never even laid eyes on the proprietor of the pawnbrokery, Mr. Windybank. Correct? You've got it, mister! Down to a T. So the Skulkin brothers never actually encountered Mr. Windybank? Is that really true, I wonder? That's it? That's the full extent of their testimony? What is it, Runo? You look very fierce. I could pour you some herbal tea if you're tired. Yeah, I could go for some of that right now, actually. Oh, thank you, but I'm fine. Being such a logical thinker, you'll probably laugh. But I feel as though these brothers are still hiding something important. It is nothing more than a feeling, though. I have no proof to support it. Well, feelings can be very logical at times. Sorry. People's expressions, the movements of their eyes, the words they choose. You can take all that in and your brain will quietly analyze it to come up with a feeling like you describe. You've concluded there's something suspicious about this testimony without knowing why. That's all. Should I look at their eyes? I think you should trust your instincts. Iris, thank you. Sometimes I think if she's 10 years old, I must be 5. Okay. The one with the weirdest expression is this one. Let's press here then. So what you're saying is, the sound of the gunshot shocked you so much you knocked all those things off the counter? Well, it shocked one of us that much, yeah. This bag of nerves needs to learn to keep his shirt on. Look, it was loud, alright, blimey. Me dead granny would have woken up at that bank. Big bruv here screamed like a bloomin' baby and fell over on the counter. He knocked over a load of books, a candlestick, and some skull or whatnot. That got tangled in some marionette, what knocked over a picture frame, what knocked them scales on the floor. You've really mastered working quietly then. What a racket, me granny would have been scared back into her grave at a clatter like that. So in short, the gunshot took you by surprise. And then some, I mean, it was quiet as a mouse and then all of a sudden, BAM! Worth pursuing then? Inspector Gregson, do you have something to add? Like I keep saying, I don't appreciate being lumped in with those scoundrels. No, something to add about their testimony? You seemed to react just now at what Mr. Skelton said. Did it make you think of something? It's probably nothing, of course. I wouldn't even bother to mention it, only, well, the fact is, cases don't get solved if you ignore the little details. How about you just tell us what's on your mind? As you know, we brought these fellas into the yard for questioning last night, and the statement they gave then told a slightly different story to what they're saying now. Did it? You claimed you heard the victim shout something out before the gunshot. Might have, Gov, might have. Does ring a bell now you mention it. Granted, it's only a minor detail, but still, I can't help feeling like perhaps you've been a bit sloppy with your testimony here, eh, fellas? If I discover the witness's testimony has been any more sloppy than it has hitherto proven to be, I shall be forced to bring the very harshest punishment to bear against them. Easy, easy! We'll get it right this time. That's it, yep, it's all coming back to me now. And speak, supplement your testimony with whatever details have miraculously returned to your questionable minds, sirs. Right you are, Gov. Just before the gunshot we heard a voice yelling out, "Give me that gun!" So in fact, you heard the voice and the gunshot almost simultaneously? We did, Gov, we did! Although, I suppose if you're being honest, we heard a kind of wavering voice before the yell and all. If you don't want to get shot, give me that gun! Kind of thing. A career in acting tragically missed. And where were the voices coming from, could you tell? Of course we could. From the other side of that door behind the counter it was. From the storeroom, where the victim was found dead. And the voice you heard, it was that of the victim, Mr. Windybank? How would they know if they've never seen the guy? On me granny's life, of course it was. That's inconsistent. On his granny's life, of course it was. So that would mean that you both knew Mr. Windybank and the sound of his voice? So that would mean what? Yeah, thank you for pointing it out for me because that seemed pretty obvious. What, Nash? What? Any ideas? Yes, Counsel, indeed it would. Nah, we didn't know the geezer. How am I supposed to deny it when that bloke in all the fancy clubber is giving us the evil eye? If you value your lives, you will ensure your testimony is accurate and true. On me granny's life it is. On his granny's life it must be. It's a good job his granny's dead. To summarize then, immediately after hearing the voice of the victim, you then hear the gunshot. Causing you to stumble and upset the items on the counter, scattering them over the shop floor. And putting them back in place, almost to a millimeter and in the same state that they were before, and it was dark in there. That seems plausible. Yeah, sure. Yeah, make it sound like we're clumsy. Yeah, make it sound like we're clumsy. Yeah. Don't forget we tidied up after like good little boys anyway, the way I see it. The bloke who owned the place was holding a gun, so he should have just fired instead of yelling at the girl. Wait, what? What's he saying? What? The man was holding a gun? Wait. You're saying that Mr. Windybank had a gun in his hands? Oh yeah, I bet that was a sight, eh? Them two waving them guns at each other. Must have got to pretty eat it. I mean, just before he shouted out, we heard a geezer say, "If you don't want to get shot." Didn't really sound like he meant it, mind. More of an empty threat, you could say. Mr. Windybank was known to keep a revolver on the shop counter at all times. But that changes completely the story from what they were saying before. People say that to protect the articles in his keeping. It readily put a bullet in someone's head if required. That someone being himself, of course. Good grief, extraordinary devotion indeed, if alarmingly misguided. Well, he certainly sounded like he was ready to pull the trigger there on the night, only the person he was gonna shoot beat him to it. Cooked his goose proper. What, they were both holding guns then now? But he wished he'd squeeze the trigger instead of wasting time shouting, "Give me that gun." And it was directly after those words that you heard the gunshot? It was more or less at the same time, Gov. Give me that gun. Yeah, okay. Kind of thing, okay. Yeah, but that they already said that before. Okay. Then we heard the sound of someone hitting the deck before everything went dead quiet. After that, we done a slapdash job tidying the place up. Okay. Back, oh good, you found it. It was press juror 5 and for juror 3 to react, right? Yeah, my mistake was to press juror 5 first before pressing juror 3. You had to press juror 5 after pressing juror 3, and I hadn't done that yet. That's the reason I couldn't get through that. But I figured it out in the end, so it's all good. The bloke was holding a gun? But she was holding the gun. No? Yeah. You're saying that on the night in question, the victim, Mr. Windybank, was wielding a gun, is that correct? And they just said that they never seen him? That they never saw him? Their testimony is more and more inconsistent by the second. That's it, Gov, you've got the picture. Yes, Nash, yes, no question. And yet the photographic evidence from the time of the incident clearly shows that Mr. Windybank was not in possession of a firearm of any description. You surprise me. Does the defense really intend to highlight evidence that compromises the position of the accused even more? Well, furthermore, the defense has failed to establish that the photographic print presented was taken a suitably short time prior to the victim's death. Your chronology is severely lacking, counsel. Yeah, that's right. Too right, Nash, too right. The old geezer could have been about to turn the tables on the girl, eh? Hardly likely. No, I'm afraid this won't stand as conclusive evidence. But they're lying, it's obvious. Continue with the cross-examination, counsel, and heed my earlier warning, witnesses. A skulkin's never skulkin'. That still seems weird what they're saying. They said they never saw him. You have to pop your two prints in here to start with, you see, and then when you look through the eyepieces, you can see the image in 3 dimensions. Man, it was Nemi and Tully Tinpiller in the original, and their catchphrase was Tinpiller who, so it's so weird for it to be different. It doesn't mean anything in English, though, so, I don't know who came up with the idea of a stereoscope, but it's really quite fascinating. No, that's not gonna work. Yeah, no, okay, well, let's take the penalty. I don't care at this point. Their names now are their Japanese fruit counterpart, Nash, Pear, Ringo, Apple. Yeah. Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, they put everything back in place. Like, so accurately that I find that hard to believe. No, that's not correct. Okay. At this point, I don't know where to press or anything. I already pressed everything. But you just said that you saw him. And why should we believe that? Eh, what? Well, because it's true, innit? At that time, the victim was already in the storeroom, having been forced to open the door by the accused who had a gun to his head. In other words, on the night in question, these two witnesses never even laid eyes on the proprietor of the pawnbroker, Mr. Windybank. They just said the contrary! I just did! Press the last statement. Concluded that there's something suspicious, but they saw the victim, I'm sure of it, but I don't know how to show it though. Yeah, okay, yeah, we know that. Yeah. Ah, but wait, hold on. I think there may be something else I overlooked. Hold on. The fact that he was shot through the back. No? I already presented that evidence, and that led nowhere. I already presented that evidence. They accepted my objection, didn't penalize me, but said that this was incriminating for the accused and not for them. So, you both knew Mr. Windybank at the sound of his voice. Yeah, but I've just thought of something else though. The way they're showing it, he would have been shot in the chest. But he was shot in the back though, says the report. So is there something in what they're saying that would suggest that he was shot from the front? Just before the gunshot, we heard a voice yelling out, "Give me that gun." He wouldn't have yelled, "Give me that gun," with his back turned, I guess. No? I mean... where is that report now? Single bullet wound from the back. There are no other signs of trauma. Yeah, I know, they will not accept it. Let's just consider the implications of that statement for a moment, shall we? No. Well, I wasn't sure myself if this would be the right statement, to be honest. Yeah, here. No. Okay, that was incorrect. Well, that's incorrect, apparently. Well, there's something else I thought was a bit weird. It's the little flipping panel on the door itself. They could have seen it through there, and I think they did. They must have. But showing that will not let me point at the fact that they could have seen it, because that's not been discovered in the picture at this point. I have discovered it, but they haven't. Oh, should I press everything again? They put everything back into place, but the lamp is broken. Did you present that? I don't remember. No, I didn't. I did point it out earlier. I did notice the broken lamp, but it's true that this is missing from their testimony. We ain't exactly squeaky clean, are we? We ain't, Nash, we ain't. If we admitted to something like that, people would think we was up to no good. In the old China, we'd only land ourselves in even more trouble. And in fact, now, as a result of lying in your previous testimony, that's exactly what you've done. Landed yourselves in even more trouble. Ah, well, that's rotten luck, says the rotten apple eater. Witnesses, explain your actions to the court. Why did you ransack the victim's counter? We never ransacked nothing. Right, Nash, right. More like we tidied the place up. Sorry. Okay, well, let's try it and, yeah, no, that's not it. That's not the broken lamp. Or maybe I should press again on that statement. Yes, whereupon you fired a shot from your own gun at Mr. Herlock Sholmes. Well, I haven't pressed this one yet anyway, so, we was a bit hasty there. We was, Nash, we was. Truth be told, I was already shaking like a leaf when you lot turned up. If you're shaking like a leaf, don't put a loaded gun in your hand. Good advice, miss, good advice. Truth be told, me mind went totally blank. Before your mind goes totally blank, make sure you don't have a loaded gun in your hand. I meant an old maid, miss. After that, we legged it down the street, but apparently we looked dodgy to the coppers or summat, so they clapped the darbies on us like Winkin. And after you'd been handcuffed, the police found this revolver in your possession, correct? Well, yeah. But listen, that proves it done it. Ah, crap. Yeah. Yeah, let me try again. On this one. No, I do think I presented the right photo. The one with the broken lamp. Yeah, it's this one. The one with the broken lamp on it. Yeah, but that's not it. Yeah, right. Okay, hold on. I can't remember what they say here if I press. So you didn't try to open the storeroom door open? To what? Open it, open? Ah, door then. Ah, yeah, okay. Not on your life. It went deadly quiet after that, it did, but put the wind right up me. But anyway, the door was locked, weren't it? No way that was opening. How would you know that it was locked if you didn't try opening it? I think the part they are nervous about is the contradiction from their actions. That is Iris' hint, I think. Yes, of course. It was locked from the inside, or so we've been led to believe. It was, Gov, it was, from the inside. How would you know if you didn't try to open it? Right, so we had no way of knowing what was going on in there, did we? Unless there was some other way to get a view of the inside of the storeroom, like through the keyhole or a spy hole, perhaps. Don't ring no bells, don't light no lights. We had to cut and run before we noticed anything like that. We're still cutting our teeth in this game, see, but one day... we'll really cut the mustard. Okay, please, cut it out. But as we know, behind that door was the victim's lifeless body with the accused not 2 feet away. Yes, unfortunately. Gina was in there unconscious with the gun in her hand. To confirm, would it be correct to say that neither of you set foot inside the storeroom? That's right, Gov, that's right. Couldn't have, even if we'd wanted to. Alright, because I reloaded my save, I guess it doesn't count like I pressed everywhere, so I'm gonna press it here anyway. Save. Okay, maybe after you've pressed everything, if you press the last one more time. I see plenty of inconsistencies in their testimony, but the game won't let me point any of them. Yeah, the people's expressions, the movement of their eyes, the words they choose, she says. I know, that's why I pressed on that one where he has the big wide eyes open at one point. That seems to be the shadiest part of their testimony, but... I could try presenting it everywhere. I don't think that's gonna take me anywhere, though. I already tried here. I already did look at his autopsy. Alright, instant death from a posterior anterior bullet wound to the heart. The bullet entered the body from the back on a gently rising diagonal trajectory. Well, I already said that before, I already know that. And I already tried presenting the autopsy report on multiple of their statements. It doesn't work. Right, I already tried it here. And I already tried it here too. It wouldn't make sense to present it anywhere but on these three statements. I can try again, but it doesn't matter how many times I try, it still won't work. It still won't work. I already did. I just did. Literally. I tried here. I tried on the 3rd. I tried on the 4th. And it wouldn't make sense to try it anywhere else. I tried on the 4th just now. I just did. On this one. It doesn't work. And I tried on this one too. Look. There. It doesn't work. Don't know how many times I have to try it. I tried on the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th already, and on the others it doesn't seem to make any sense with what they're saying, so... I see the inconsistencies in what they're saying, but I don't know what to do. Ah, yeah, well... They should have accepted both because they both point to the same thing. Sir is saying that on the night in question, the victim, Mr. Windybank, was wielding a gun. Is that correct? That's it, Gov. You've got the picture. Yes, Nash, yes, no question. And yet, photographic evidence obtained immediately after the incident clearly shows that Mr. Windybank was not holding a firearm of any description. Hey, you what? Gordon Bennett, that ain't right. There can be no question that the victim's revolver was used in the incident. I would remind the court that Mr. Windybank's gun was found at the scene. Not only was it identified as the murder weapon, but it was found in the accused's hand. This one needed a box as well. Yeah, that mold tooler used the victim's own gun to finish him off. Give me that gun! Not like that, no. Kind of thing. Stay exactly where you are, right there. If the crime had taken place as you've so colorfully described in your testimony, it would give rise to an undeniable and significant inconsistency in the final moments you just acted out. Goodness, are you sure, counsel? You intrigue me, my learned friend, but let's see some evidence to support your claim. Where is the proof that demonstrates this inconsistency in the witness's portrayal of the victim's final moment? Well, here you need the autopsy report, then I take it. According to their testimony, the witnesses claim to have heard a shout of "Give me that gun," followed by the gunshot. Indeed, yeah, I just did. Indeed, with the two events happening almost simultaneously, or so we've been led to believe. Yes, that's right. Now, if that testimony is true, it would mean that at the moment of death, the victim and his attacker would have been facing each other. However, in the autopsy report, it clearly states that the victim died instantly after being shot from behind. So, as I stated before, there is an undeniable inconsistency in your testimony, Mr. and Mr. Skulkin. But it's the God's honest truth. It is, Nash, it is. When he was shot that night, the shopkeeper had a gun in his hand. We saw it with our own bleeding eyes. Did I hear you right just now? You actually saw Mr. Windybank holding a gun? Something like that might have slipped out. Ladies and gentlemen, you have all just heard the admission by these two witnesses that on the night in question, they actually saw with their own eyes the victim wielding a gun, which can only mean that despite their testimony to the contrary, the Skulkin brothers must have encountered the victim in person. Nash, Okay, well, we're getting somewhere. Not very fast, but we're getting somewhere. Order! Witnesses, explain yourselves at once. Well, the thing is, if it weren't supposed to, it would seem that my previous warning fell on deaf ears. I made it quite clear that false witness would be the death of you. Am I to understand that you replaced the untruth of the original testimony with renewed lies? Ever so sorry, Governor. Truth is, see, we, Cut it out, Nash. Cut it out. If we blab now, you know what he'll do to us. He? Who are they talking about? Let me make your position here perfectly clear. You will talk. There is no other option available to you. Bruv, come on. The game's up. But he'll have our guts for garters. In case it hasn't quite sunken yet, no matter how hard you try to hide it, the truth will come out. On the night in question, it is now apparent that you brothers met face to face with the victim. I demand that you testify again to explain the precise circumstances under which this meeting took place. Well, do we have to? On pain of death. I suggest you make yourselves fully aware that this is your very last chance to tell the truth. Alright, so it just got inside the gaff and he heaved a sigh of relief when the geezer showed his mug. Uh-huh. Give me that gun, he bellowed, and then he flew at us like he was possessed. I thought we'd had it. For an old geezer, the bloke was strong as an ox. He chucked me over the counter. I pulled me gun on him, and then he legged it through that door into the back room. I pulled me gun on him, and then he legged it through that door into the back room? We never had nothing to do with killing him. That's all what happened, I swear. Uh-huh. So you're now telling us that moments before the victim was killed in the storeroom, you in fact encountered him in the main part of the shop? Well, yeah, sorry. Well, we find ourselves at an interesting juncture. This changes matters considerably. But honest, Governor, this time, Nash, this time, we ain't got nothing more to hide. Very well, counsel for the defense, you may proceed with your cross-examination. Yes, my lord, this is it, the moment I've been waiting for. Okay, let me save here again. Okay, let's hear everything they have to say. When you say geezer, I presume you mean the victim and proprietor of the shop, Mr. Windybank? Who else? Sorry, I mean, that's right. We was keeping a close eye on the entrance of the gaff, obviously. But we never thought no one was gonna come out of the back room like that. The back room being the pawnbrokery storeroom? Yeah, that must be where he popped up from. Only place he could have been. So it would seem the victim was already at the storeroom when these brothers entered the premises. Which means GD must have been in there at that point as well. But that doesn't make sense, does it? If Gina had threatened Mr. Windybank into the storeroom with her at gunpoint, then why would he have emerged from the same room all alone when the brothers arrived? Oh, I don't know, but this is very mysterious indeed. Did you see the accused at that time? What, that mold tooler? Couldn't tell ya. No way, cobber. We had bigger fish to fry then. I mean, the old geezer just lost it. Give me that gun, he bellowed, and then he flew at us like he was possessed. I thought we'd had it. Okay, hold on. Let me press on that previous one. He flew at us like he was possessed. I thought we'd had it. You mentioned that Mr. Windybank shouted those words in your previous testimony too. However, you claimed that you heard him yelling them on the other side of the storeroom door. Oh, did we? But the truth is, he was shouting those words at you, wasn't he? Well, yeah. Was the victim, Mr. Windybank, wielding a gun at the time? Was he ever, blimey lummy, a great ugly barrel he had, pointed straight at me frontispiece? So what you're saying is, you definitely saw Mr. Windybank with the gun at that time, is that right? It is, Gov. It is, spot on. Then all of a sudden, he came at us, he did. It was bedlam. I didn't know who was going for who. You were clearly all going for each other. Like Nash said, we thought we'd had it. I mean, for an old geezer, the bloke was strong as an ox. He chucked me over the counter. Yes, I noted that you mentioned the counter in your previous testimony too. Well, yeah, of course we did. He knocked over a load of books, a candlestick, and some skull whatnot. That got tangled in some marionette, who knocked over a picture frame, who knocked them scales on the floor. Yeah, this is identical to their testimony from before. So in fact, it wasn't the sound of the gunshot that shocked you and made you knock these things off the counter. Well, big bruv here went flying over that counter like a gunshot, I can tell ya, and the old geezer pinned him. He did, Nash, he did. If he hadn't been there, the bloke would have flattened me like a bloomin' pancake in seconds. At the time in question, the alarm was raised at the local police station via a secret cable from the pawnbrokery. There is a button under the counter used to activate it, which was presumably pressed by the victim. That's right, when the brothers fled the scene and back onto the street, they ran straight into the arriving police, didn't they? Poor Mr. Windybank, he did everything he could to protect his shop. Well, the matter of the broken lamp still hasn't been explained. I guess it would have been at that moment, even though they don't mention it. I pulled my gun on him and then he legged it through that door into the back room. Okay, let's press here as well. Were you intending to shoot Mr. Windybank? No, never. It was just, you know, looking out for me bruv, weren't I? He was being flattened, don't forget. By a man whose shop was being burgled, yes. And then the man fled into the storeroom when you pointed your gun at him, is that right? In the original translation, they addressed that. Well, they will here, maybe later. He shoved me away and ran off through that door and shut himself in. There's something about that last remark, something that doesn't quite ring true. I wonder why Mr. Windybank ran away into the storeroom. What? Well, according to what everyone's saying, Ginny was in there waiting for him, with a gun. Yes, that's right. Ginny allegedly used Mr. Windybank's gun to threaten him and force him to open the storeroom door. In which case, how did the gun end up in Mr. Windybank's hands again? I have no idea, but that is strange, isn't it? This little inconsistency could be significant. I should make a mental note of it. Look, the point is, me and me bruv here. That's right, Nash, that's right. Me and me bruv here. Okay, the mental note is about the fourth statement. We never had nothing to do with killing him. That's all what happened, I swear. Okay, let's press here also. You say he had nothing to do with it? Nothing at all. Nothing, Gov, nothing. The old geezer went and shut himself in the back room, didn't he? Locked it was, from the inside. We know it was, because we tried to open it. But it's a decent door, that one. Good and strong, wouldn't budge an inch. So in the end, the situation remains unchanged. Inside the storeroom of the pawnbroker, there was only one other person. The sole person who could possibly have shot the victim, the accused, Miss Gina Lestrade. It would indeed appear so. What say you to that, counsel? I don't know. Was there anyone else apart from Gina who could possibly have shot Mr. Windybank? I say they shot him through the door. And the door was unlocked. Or something, maybe. Because they would have had to put the gun back into the hand of Ginny. Mr. and Mr. Skulkin. What? What's that look for? From the moment you admitted that you'd encountered the victim face to face that night. the course of this trial changed completely. It did? What is your point, my learned friend? The question we must answer is who could have shot Mr. Windybank, and it is the belief of the defense that the defendant is not the only possible answer at all. There's this little window in the door. Damn it. You have my attention. In that case, let us return to this plan of the premises. The victim was killed in the storeroom, which was locked from the inside. Those are the facts. So pray, what other possible answer to the question of who shot the man could there be? Counsel, you must now provide answers to the court in respect of 2 conundrums. 2, my lord? Twice as many chances to be right, maybe. Indeed, namely, from what location did the culprit shoot the victim? And furthermore, where was the victim at the time? Did it intrude through the door or there wasn't any bullet holes? There didn't have to be any bullet holes. There's a window in the door that you just pull up and you can shoot through it. Are you alright, Runo? I'm not entirely sure, but there is one thing I am sure about. If I can prove that there's a credible new alternative to what happened, it would change Gina's prospects hugely. So now time for some clarity. Show the court on this plan the answers to the questions posed by his lordship. We saw the victim and Jeannie, or Gina I guess, in the room through that little window in the first place on the night that these events took place. That's how we saw them, because we couldn't open the door. If you believe someone else could have killed the victim, indicate from where that person could have fired a gun. Right at the door, on this side of the door though. The defense believes that the culprit could have shot the victim from this location here. And in answer to the second question, assuming the culprit fired from the location indicated, where was the victim at the time? Where he was found? The culprit shot the victim from outside the storeroom. Continue. Mr. Windybank died instantly from a bullet wound in his back. What I don't understand, though, is why this little door, this little window in the door isn't visible on this photo, but it is on the next one. You can see the frame of it in the middle of the top portion of the door on this picture, but not on the other. That's a mystery I haven't been able to solve yet. Not sure. Mr. Windybank died instantly from a bullet wound in his back. Correct location, but not correct conjecture. And it's addressed, that is the secret of this case. Looking at the stain of blood on the storeroom floor, it doesn't appear that the body was moved after death, which tells us that he was almost certainly shot while he was in the storeroom. However, the crucial point is, where was the shooter when the fatal bullet was fired? So you are adamant that the shot was fired from outside the storeroom? Well, according to the Skulkin brothers' earlier testimony, I pulled me gun on him and then he legged it through that door into the back room. If Mr. Windybank ran away through the door, we have to assume that the door was open at the time. It was at precisely that moment when the victim was fleeing for his life. I think he was fleeing for his life because he dropped his own gun, personally. Yeah, I don't understand what you know, and I don't want to be told anyway, so I want to figure that out by myself. That these brothers had the perfect opportunity to shoot the man in the back once he was inside the storeroom. Nah! Come to think of it, do you remember what the prosecutor said at the start of the trial? Moving on to the findings of Scotland Yard's coroner, his report states that the bullet entered the body on a rising diagonal trajectory. It means that the victim was likely shot by someone significantly shorter in height than himself. Poor man, shot while he was running as fast as he could to safety. Of course, he would have been leaning forward as he was running away. Yeah, I didn't think of that part, actually. So even if the bullet was fired horizontally, it would still have entered his body on an upward trajectory. So the culprit isn't necessarily someone shorter than Mr. Windybank. I'm sure my learned friend can't have forgotten that the storeroom door was found closed and locked from the inside. You claim the victim was shot as he fled into the room? Do you also claim his corpse was dexterous enough to turn the key in the lock? No, I think Gina would have locked herself in to not be shot. Because she would have been scared. Someone else could have locked the door, Gina. What if someone else locked the door? Yes, there is someone else who could have locked the storeroom door. Is that so? Oh, come on. Very well then, counsel. Present your hypothesis to the court. In the scenario just described, the defense's assertion is that the victim was shot from outside the storeroom. In which case, who shut and locked the storeroom door from the inside? Or the door was open? And then Gina locked it after the fact, maybe? But it's her anyway. It couldn't have been anyone else. Bingo, correct? You see why I said it wasn't shot through the door? Obviously, the person who locked the door was the only other person inside the storeroom at the time. The defendant, Miss Gina Lestrade. That's absurd. You're suggesting that the accused deliberately engineered the sealed room? For what possible reason? She was scared! Such actions would only serve to tighten the noose around her neck. I am inclined to agree, I must say. Well, counsel? Yes, that's a tricky one, that isn't it? No, it's not tricky at all. It makes the most perfect sense. Half-baked notions have no place in my courtroom, counsel. Remember that, please. But of course Ginny would have locked the door. It almost goes without saying, doesn't it? It does? Oh, come on, Leo. Well, if I was Ginny in that situation, I know I would have locked the door as quickly as I could. I mean, those two burglars had just fired a gun in our direction, hadn't they? Oh yes, obviously. Any needs telling. Before the two brothers arrived, Miss Lestrade and Mr. Windybank were in the storeroom together. If a murder happens outside, you would lock the door. Yeah, to protect yourself at the very least. Now, I don't know what went on between them at that time, but at some point, Mr. Windybank must have heard the intruders breaking into his shop and left the storeroom. Intruders, eh? That's us, bruv. If your theory is correct, that would leave the accused alone in the storeroom. Yes, it would. Then, probably only moments later, the victim fled back through the storeroom door, hoping to escape danger. Hit in the back by the bullet, Mr. Windybank fell to the floor where he was, just inside the storeroom. And what we have to ask ourselves now is, what would the defendant have done in that moment? I see where you're going with this. Outside the storeroom was a terrifying killer who had just murdered Mr. Windybank. As soon as that thought struck Miss Lestrade, she slammed the door shut and locked it, in order to save her own life. But I mean, we ain't the ones who done it. We ain't, Gov, we ain't. You gotta believe us. I mean, come on, we'd never shoot no one. That's blatantly untrue. I know for a fact that you would, because before my own eyes, you shot Mr. Herlock Sholmes. There is only one logical conclusion here. Mr. and Mr. Skulkin, you brothers had every opportunity to have been the true perpetrator of Mr. Windybank's murder. Where does this leave us? You mean to say it wasn't the pickpocket who shot the pawnbroker after all? I should have known it was those three brothers. They look as shady as Dance Forest, and they say three. like the policeman had something to do with it too. That was amazing, Bruno. All the members of the jury seem to be firmly on your side now. I know, first time ever, and probably the last. Well, I think you've done it. Surely they'll have to give a verdict of not... An admirable effort, my learned friend. What's this now? He's laughing? You find the situation amusing, Lord Van Zeeks? I myself find the defense's argument most persuasive. I dare say, such chicanery is the bread and butter of the street performers in your provincial eastern nation. But such blatantly malicious conjuring tricks amount to nothing more than inexcusable pettifoggery here. Okay, could you use less complicated words? Yeah, like what? The hypothesis you put forward so ostensibly credibly cannot and will not stand. Because, you see, it contains a fatal flaw. A fatal flaw? Do you mean to tell me that you're unaware of your logic's failing? Well, the gun was found in Jeannie's hands. I know that there is that inconsistency. But, how am I gonna explain that, though? Might be an idea to explain this bully conjuring trick or whatever it is to the troops on the ground, Pardon me. The fatal flaw in my learned friend's argument is really very simple to understand. Assuming you're not too dim-witted to count bullets. My George, count bullets? Oh dear, he noticed then. Huh? What's everyone talking about? Counsel. Yes, sir. Tell the court how many bullets were found at the scene of the crime. Maybe we haven't found all of them. Two bullets. Correct. The first, that which hit the victim in the back, ending his life. And the second, that which struck the detective Mr. Sherlock Sholmes on his arrival at the scene. Indeed. Okay, pardon me. The defense presented a picture showing the damage caused by the second bullet earlier in the proceedings. The bullet which injured Mr. Sholmes appears to have passed through his body to strike the calendar. Your lordship's understanding is correct. Furthermore, we know there are two firearms involved in the incident. The revolver belonging to the victim, Mr. Windybank, and the Skulkin brothers' revolver. The evidence shows that a single bullet was fired from each gun. Yes, indeed it does, a single bullet from each. Now then, my learned friend. You yourself told the court only moments ago that these two brothers shot Mr. Sherlock Sholmes right before your eyes. I mean, the guy, Windybank would probably not have run away to hide himself into the storeroom if he still had his gun in hand. I think there must be something like he dropped his gun and one of the brothers, the one that was not holding a gun, picked it up maybe or something. Oh my goodness, I think you'll find that if the single bullet that was fired from the brother's gun hit Mr. Sholmes, it means Windybank not shot by the same gun. Stop, only one bullet, stop. Exactly. Yes, this Nipponese street performer presented an ostensibly credible argument. However, it was never anything more than a diversionary trick with no hope of standing up to scrutiny. Horda, horda, horda! Pray forgive the discourtesy of flinging the dregs of this hallowed nectar into the public gallery. Lord Van Zeeks! But this court needs to open its eyes. The accused, Miss Gina Lestrade, is no ordinary little girl. Despite her young years, she can regrettably no longer be described as a juvenile. No, the person in the dock is far from a law-abiding citizen. She has past riddled with criminal conduct. The truth is, the accused broke into the pawnbrokery on the night in question with loathsome intent. As we can see beyond doubt in this print which depicts her threatening the victim with the murder weapon. And I have here in my possession one more piece of evidence the prosecution wishes to present. Oh? That disc. I'll be taking that, whatever it is of McGillet's down to the yard. Thank you very much. No, don't give it to him. It's mine, that is. Mine. I'm sorry, miss, but anything belonging to McGillet has to be taken in as evidence now. Yes, that music box disc. McGillet's music box disc. The very day before the hateful murder of Mr. Windybank, the accused attempted to make off with this article, which clearly doesn't belong to her. And with none of the subtlety of a pickpocket, I might add, but by brute force and brazen impudence. Good gracious! Make no mistake, any sympathy for the accused on account of her years is misguided and dangerous. There are no depths to which this girl would not stoop if pushed, no crime she would not commit. The court forgets that fact at its peril. I see. I think it would be prudent to take this music box disc into evidence, counsel, as a grim testament to the defendant's character. Mutta! Lord Van Zeeks, Inspector Gregson? What? Yes, Inspector? We had a meeting yesterday at the yard within the prosecution service, and, I think it was agreed that that disc wouldn't be used as evidence. What's this all about? Why is the inspector acting strangely? That's the first time he said anything to Van Zeeks at all. I am unaware of any such meeting. But those were the instructions right from the top. The government bigwigs were insistent. Inspector, I am the prosecutor and I alone determine how to present my case. Your warning is noted. Thank you. The prosecution wishes to proceed with submitting this disc as evidence, my lord. Indeed. Bailiff! The music box disc has been entered into the court record. Hold on now, I would like to use that spray on the disc, if it will allow me now. Oh, Runo, look! This is blood! Yes, you're right. Just a small smear, but definitely blood. Actually, I feel as though I might have noticed that before. Haha, then it's my time to shine again. I thought I'd be waiting forever. Alright, hold still with that disc, Runo. Can we get this done quickly, Iris? In a flash. What color would it be? Green? Didn't we already have someone in green in the portfolio? Oh, a lovely bright shade again. Wait, that color. What is it? It's just that green. It's not the first time we've seen that color, is it? The blood samples portfolio has been updated in the court record. Uh-huh. But normally it would belong to, what's the name of this guy again? Eggert Benedict? Hold on now. Let me look through the court record. Okay, so this one is green. But I thought this guy hurt himself when he was struggling to take the disc out of the hands of Gina or something. I think it must be his blood. So the green one would be Eggert Benedict? So the bullet that was found here is not the one that was shot at Herlock Sholmes? That places him at the murder scene then. There was another person. It may be true that they didn't shoot the victim then, those two brothers. Could have been Eggert Benedict, if he was there. The prosecution has established the accused's motive, opportunity, and baseness of character. There is nothing more to add. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, I await your informed decisions and rest my case. I don't believe it. I had the jury on my side for once, and for all of 5 minutes. Oh dear. It wasn't even for 5 minutes, Runo. My lord. Wonder if I might say something at this point. Proceed, Mr. Foreman. Been stumbling about in a bit of a fog up to now, if truth be told, but all of a sudden... The answer's bully obvious to me and my men. There's only one thing for it. Oh no. Very well, the court will hear from the jury. Ladies and gentlemen, you will present your leanings as to the defendant's culpability.
有罪
有罪
有罪有罪
有罪
有罪
Well, this is not looking good. We have a consensus among the jury, it seems. When you have eliminated the impossible, whatever remains must be the truth. That's my line. I wrote that for early. Arg, how dare you use it against us. Don't worry, Iris. I don't think we're finished yet. There's still more to this case than we realize. There must be, because there's one thing that I'm absolutely certain of. Gina didn't shoot Mr. Windybank, that's beyond any doubt. Very well. We will proceed with the second summation examination of the day. Mr. Foreman, are you and the other jurors ready? Garrett Up Squadron is primed and ready for action, sir. Very good. So, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, you will each explain on what grounds you have now determined the defendant to be guilty. Hold on a minute. Okay. Right. I wanted to know how far I was from the end of this case. Once a rogue, well, from the end of this section is what I should say. Once a rogue, always a rogue, I say. Different breed to us law-abiding citizens. As only 2 bullets were found at the scene, I would say the whole case is done and dusted. You don't need a stereoscope to see the truth here. Every which way you look at it, it was that pickpocket. Okay. I never imagined that simple operation would cause me such grief. The accused attempted the theft on the previous day. I can see I'm in for a busy day ahead. I'm a ballistics expert. I have seen many shootings. There is nothing I do not know about guns. That's interesting. It would seem there is little remaining room for doubt. I have to admit, I was rather bowled over by the argument put forward by the chap in black. But when that fell apart like a house of cards, I saw I'd jolly well been hoodwinked. Well, no more! The whole courtroom is turning against me. It's not fair, Iris. That's prosecutors being mean. Just because Jeannie's done some things she shouldn't have done in the past, that doesn't make her a murderer. Allow me to savor this fruity vintage while I savor the spectacle of your fruitless debate on the matter. Here's to the truth coming out eventually. That's enough preamble. Counsel, proceed with the summation examination. Yes, my lord. The defense's rebuttal. Once a rogue, always a rogue, I say. Different breed to us law-abiding citizens. Okay. I haven't pressed this one yet. As only 2 bullets were found at the scene, I would say this whole case is done and dusted. You don't need a stereoscope to see the truth here. Every which way you look at it, it was that pickpocket. Yeah, what was that about? Would you please stop murdering about things that have nothing to do with this trial, sir? The defendant's life is on the line here. Well, the thing is, I couldn't really say that it is nothing to do with this trial, to be honest. Huh? I mean, there's no question that the man was shot, but the bullet had simply vanished from his stomach. It's quite inexplicable, don't you think? I almost don't want to ask, but this surgery you've been muttering about all this time, you were operating on...
What was the fellow's name now? Hairlick? No. Hairlock? No. Hairlock? Hairlock Sholmes by any chance? Yes, good lord. It was that Hairlock fellow. What? You're the surgeon that operated on Mr. Sholmes? That's right, using the very latest anesthesia techniques, I might add. It was a fairly major op, I can tell you. This is crazy. Let me see, the fellow was brought in not long after midnight, if I remember correctly. They said he'd been shot by some criminal or other, so I opened him up like a shot. But the funny thing is, I went over his insides with a fine-tooth comb, and I couldn't find the bullet anywhere. So I'm afraid I had to throw up my hands and just stitch the fellow back up. I hate to state the obvious, but yes, surely that's because the bullet is still at the scene of the shooting. The counsel for the defense is correct. As is clearly shown in this photographic print, the bullet that the Skulkin brothers fired at Mr. Sholmes hit him in the stomach region, then exited his body and lodged into the shop wall where the calendar was hanging by the door. I already surmised that this isn't the case, though. I think you'll find it's really quite simple if you just consider the problem three-dimensionally. Ah, who do you think I am, son? Well, juror number 4 is about the best I can do. I mean, he wouldn't look for a bullet inside if there was an exit wound. I bet there wasn't an exit wound, right? As soon as I saw the wound to the man's stomach, I flipped him over like a pancake. Are you saying that you checked his back? Of course I did, and there wasn't a trace of injury, no sign that the bullet had left the body at all. What? That's the point. The only logical conclusion was that the bullet was still somewhere in the man's innards. Which is exactly why I set about slicing him up. And I'm still none the wiser even now. How many times do I have to say it? Can somebody please explain how it happened? Can somebody please solve the mystery? The weapons expert? It's almost as much of a mystery as how this jury was put together. The mystery of where that bullet ended up is infuriating. Where's an expert when you need one? Okay, hold on. There, no need to press him. Those two statements clearly contradict the idea that all I do is pit jurors against... each other. Oh, a ballistics expert. Pitting. P-I-T-T. On the night in question, Mr. Sholmes was shot by one of the Skulkin brothers, but since there was no sign of an exit wound on his back, we must assume the bullet didn't pass through him. However, no bullet was found lodged in Mr. Sholmes' body either. Furthermore, a bullet was found lodged in the wall of the shop where Mr. Sholmes was shot. Juror number 6. Hello, my name is Villain. Pleased to meet you. This apparent contradiction in the facts that is so clearly troubling juror number 4. Are you able to explain the mystery? I have seen very similar situation in Motherland. It was night, there was blizzard. I was running away along Mountain Road in freezing cold. Golly, the snow was piling high on both sides of the road. It was very narrow and dangerous. My pursuers had hunting rifles and they were on dog sleds. Mental note, don't ask too many questions. I was shot from behind and I fell down in snow. And this situation was very similar to what I hear today from doctor. They could not find bullet in my body and no sign of, how do you say, exit wound. Can the bullet re-exit the body through the hole that it went in? Then where did the bullet go? Bullet never hit me. Well, if it never hit you, why did you fall down? Bullet hit frozen wall ice very close to my side. What? One small piece, very sharp, broke away from lump of ice and pierced my body. It made deep wound that looks just like bullet wound. Good gracious. Of course, piece of ice quickly melted inside me, and that is solution to mystery of disappearing bullet. Yeah, but there was no ice on the murder scene though. In the pawnbrokers, so But that doesn't answer the question at all. The shooting happened in the pawnbroker's shop. Not some snowy mountain road in another country. That went nowhere, just an idea, but we might not be looking at exactly the same scenario here. Bruno, where exactly was Hurley shot again? Well, according to the report, in his stomach, sort of around this area, I think. Well, that's precisely where he always wears a little pouch on his belt. A pouch? Actually, I might have noticed something like that. Yes, a pouch. It's where he keeps 3 glass vials of very dangerous chemicals that he uses in his investigations. What, really? Doctor, where is the pouch Mr. Sholmes was wearing? Well, the fellow had nothing like that on his person when we arrived at the hospital, as far as I remember. If I may. Lord Van Zieks? While I realize it is forbidden for the prosecution to interject during the summation examination, I should inform the defense that I have the pouch in question in the antechamber outside the courtroom. Sorry? As I understand it, when the police arrived on the scene and found Mr. Sholmes injured, they removed the pouch in order to assess the wound. Ah, thank goodness, I thought I was getting forgetful for a moment. Since then, it has been in my safekeeping along with all other evidence relating to the case. I can personally vouch for the fact that it has not been touched since the incident occurred. Very well, while extremely unconventional during a summation examination, I must demand the prosecution presents the item in question with all speed. Bring forth Mr. Sherlock Sholmes' pouch. If there's another bullet on it, that could be good. It could be a good thing. I see. So, this is the pouch worn by Mr. Sholmes on the night in question, is it? Look at that. One of the vials is broken and the leather around it is scorched black. It's almost as if the vial exploded. Exploded? So, that night, the bullet from the Skulkin brothers' gun struck Mr. Sholmes' pouch. And it was a glass vial exploding that caused the fellow's injury. This bullet did not penetrate victim, but was deflected into wall of shop. Really? It's not his blood on the wall. A delightfully complex aroma. Would appear one mystery has been solved at least. At least. Though it has no bearing on the truth of this case, I think it does. Let me have a look at the thing. The bungling and burgling brothers shot the detective, and the accused shot the pawnbroker. The pertinent facts of the case remain unaltered. But at least the mystery is solved. I can sleep easy tonight. Thank you, young man. Thank you very much. Glad I could help. Although this doesn't help me. Due to its bearing on the conundrum just solved, the court will sequester the scruffy pouch as evidence. Hurley's pouch isn't scruffy. Sholmes' pouch has been entered into the court record. Okay, let me have a look at it. Oh, look, there's a hole here at the back. Doesn't look much like a bullet hole, but clearly something's ripped through the leather with great force. Something must have pierced it somehow to have left this hole behind. Yes, it looks that way. Mr. Sholmes and his pouch both took a beating, didn't they? Wait, I think I can see it. This vial has been smashed to pieces. Presumably, this is where the bullet struck. As soon as the bullet hit the chemical in that vial, there would have been a really big explosion. A big explosion? Well, Hurley's potions and chemicals are amazingly useful for the investigation work he does. But they're also quite tricky to handle, safely at least. They're very dangerous. Oh. I'm sure that when this vial broke, the chemical inside would have ignited. Note to self, always walk on the right-hand side of Sholmes in the future. The left is the danger zone. But come on, I can see the bullet. I see it from here. There. It's really scorched badly just here. Oh, the strap is broken. Look! This must be where the bullet hit then. Let me see. Ha! What the? Iris, look! Behind where the broken vial was. Do you see it? That's the Skulkin brothers' bullet. What a stroke of luck that it hit his pouch. This is an amazing discovery. What this means is, there were 3 bullets fired at Windy Banks that night. We found exactly what the juror was talking about. The 3rd bullet. It's time to press that juror again, I think. 3rd bullet has been entered into the court record. It would appear the defense is somewhat struggling to alter opinion, Please, my lord. A little more time. After all, that's a new piece of evidence. It could be a valuable clue, and you can't afford to overlook anything here, Ryunosuke. There's still a way to turn this around somehow, I'm sure of it. Hold on, let me press him again then. Then I ask you to reconsider your leaning, sir. Oh no, that's another matter entirely. Sorry? All I can think about for the moment is this wonderful sense of relief I have that the mystery is solved. I need some time to let that sink in before I could possibly consider anything else. Alright, I thought surgeons had to be able to think quickly. Perhaps I should leave him alone for now while he savors his inner peace, and focus on some of the other jurors. I suppose we'll have to. I wish I had the chance to experience inner peace sometimes. Okay. The accused attempted a theft on the previous day. I can see I'm in for a busy day ahead. I'm ballistics expert. I have seen many shooting. There is nothing I do not know about guns. I thought you were just a tourist. Good day. I am visiting London for sightseeing. I would like to take bus to Crystal Tower, please. There's no way he's just a visiting tourist. So you're a ballistics expert. Who knew? I have much experience with guns. I have lived through many, how do you say, extreme, violent bath of, no, blood of, extreme violent bloodbath, perhaps. Those, extreme violent bloodbath. English is very difficult tongue. Considering the sort of people you associate with, I'm surprised you still have a tongue. Anyway, if you have questions about bullets and guns, you ask me. There is nothing I do not know, no mystery I cannot solve. Okay, he's very confident in his knowledge of guns, that's for sure. But if possible, please, only in Russian language. He's not very confident in his knowledge of English though, is he? No, still, we should bear it in mind. He's our man if there's a mystery about guns or bullets. Early always turns up at just the right moment. Does he always come in the form of a pouch? Seriously though, it sounds like the great detective was on death's door. But maybe his injuries won't be for nothing. That pouch could be a very valuable clue. Once a rogue, always a rogue, I say. Different breed to us law-abiding citizens. Okay. Let me save again then, for everything that I've already discovered. Just because Mrs. Strad has a history of pickpocketing, she must be guilty of murder, is that what you're saying? Ah, well... Are all members of the British Army so quick to judge? I beg your pardon? Are you mocking Your Majesty's Armed Forces, the greatest military organization in the world? No, I'm simply illustrating my point. Making assumptions about people because they're a soldier or a pickpocket is wrong and dangerous. Well, yes, might have a point there, I suppose. But let's not forget the girl has already shown she had it in her before. She's clearly a criminal sort through and through, can't deny it. When you say that she'd shown she had it in her, are you referring to this? Exactly, tried to swipe that only a day earlier, or am I mistaken? Not exactly. Given that I was actually there at the time, it's hard to refute that. I've never actually seen the real thing. I can't wait to have a closer look at it. We just did already. Oh yes, of course. Mr. Sholmes did use his caramel bars to make a copy of the disc, didn't he? And then order every type of music box he could find from across Europe. We still don't know what tune it plays though, do we? But I'd love to see how the original compares to earliest copy. McGillet's disc, could it be a clue somehow? Perhaps we should examine it in more detail. We already did. As only 2 bullets were found on the scene, I would say the whole case is done and dusted. We just found the third. It's the number of bullets that has you convinced? Only 2 bullets were fired, and the 2 guns that fired them have been examined by the police. When the parlor maid asks me how many are invited for dinner, I always tell her to count the table settings. Well, that's logical, I suppose. Although, yes, sometimes after dining, crockery does go missing. 1 or 2 guests rather like to find china. Does your employer dine with thieves? So I suppose, if there was another bullet somewhere of which we were unaware, I'd have to reconsider my position. Okay, a 3rd bullet somewhere on the scene? Could that be possible? I can prove it. Allow me to show you then, the 3rd bullet. Here it is, we discovered it just now. Yes, on the night in question in Windybank's pawnbrokery, another bullet was fired. What is this new trickery, you Nipponese conjurer? Where did you find that bullet? It was lodged inside Mr. Sholmes' pouch. What? This pouch was removed from around Mr. Sholmes' waist before he was taken to hospital, and since then it has been touched by no one. Do you mean to say the shot fired by the Skulkin brothers that night? Yes, as your lordship has surmised, it hit this pouch. But that makes no sense whatsoever. We already know the whereabouts of the bullet fired at Mr. Sholmes. Actually, no. It's clearly visible in this photographic print. 2 guns from the scene have already been submitted into the court record as evidence. Yes, that of Mr. Windybank and that belonging to the Skulking brothers. An examination of both guns revealed that only a single bullet had been fired from each. But that must mean... That's right, we now know that on the night in question, 3 bullets were fired. However, only 2 bullets were fired from the guns recovered from the crime scene, and until that incontrovertible inconsistency is somehow explained, we cannot and must not pass judgment. Arg! Hordar! While this summation examination remains incomplete, the court has been presented with new facts. Facts that would appear to shake the very foundations upon which the case against the defendant has been built. As is my prerogative in this situation, I hereby temporarily suspend the summation examination. By Jupiter! What? Bailiff, bring the witnesses back to the stand at once. Witnesses! Governor! Were you listening to proceedings while the defense carried out the summation examination? We was, Governor, we was! Perhaps we can dispense with the tedious preamble. Simply answer this one question. A 3rd bullet has been identified at the scene of the crime. What do you make of that? Make of it, Gov? I don't make nothing of nothing if I can help it. Is it one of yours? Gore blimey, Gov, gore blimey, not a chance. In that case, did you have an accomplice? What, eh? What? Never! The Skulkin brothers walk alone! It's just the 2 of us, that's our trademark! How soon we forget poor Sulky. Only 2 of the bullets from the crime scene originated from the firearms we have in evidence. The 3rd bullet was fired from another gun. Where is it? Lummy, that's a head scratcher. Counsel for the defense? Yes, I should like to hear your thoughts regarding these new developments, the 3rd bullet, and the mysterious missing firearm from whence it came. Thinking back over all the testimony we've heard and all the evidence we've seen, I think I'm starting to form a picture of what really happened that night. My lord, I think it's clear that what this 3rd bullet tells us about the Skulkin brother. They had a secret accomplice. Eggert Benedict. On that night at Windybank's pawnbrokery, the brothers must have been working with a 3rd man. The witnesses are clearly doing their best to cover up the existence of this accomplice, but the evidence all points to the fact that there was someone else present, someone carrying a gun.
Idiotic!
An accomplice, you say? Pig's will. These protracted proceedings have already forced us to endure 2 summation examinations, yet in all that time there has been not a murmur of a third man, if this apparently wraith-like being exists. The court must be shown hard evidence. Without it, this fantasy will be crushed. The presence of blood that belongs to Eggert Benedict on the scene, on 2 counts. Firstly, proof, evidence that this accomplice was ever at the scene of the crime, and secondly, the identity of this spurious character. Skulkins are lying, I know that. But how can I ascertain the identity of the person they're hiding? Well, counsel, I'm supposed to prove the existence of this accomplice, and reveal the person's identity even. In response to the prosecution's demands, my lord, the defense is ready to present answers. The defense is ready. I believe I can provide all the answers the prosecution demands. So, my Nipponese friend, despite the swimming eyes, you seem to think you have something to say. This promises to be interesting. I have to push forward now. There's no other option. I need to use every single piece of evidence available to me if it will make a difference. In that case, counsel, I would ask you to present the evidence without delay. On the night in question, in the moments leading up to the death of the victim, what proof have you that there was a third intruder present at the scene? I'm gonna save here again just to be safe, but I feel pretty sure of my case. Oh, I don't have it? Wait, it's in there. The evidence is right here, in this portfolio. By Jove, that portfolio again, is it? Do you expect the court to rifle through your papers itself? Be more specific. You claim one of those blood samples proves the presence of this third intruder. Well, which one is it? This one. What am I looking at here? There appears to be some green paint or such like around the bullet hole in the middle of the calendar. That's a bloodstain, my lord. A bloodstain? Green blood? Curious, even for you. Is the court to understand that the intruder was some unhuman creature? It's something developed by Mr. Herlock Sholmes. By the great detective! New invention, stop. Not yet appeared in stories, stop. It's this, you see. It doesn't have a name yet, though. This fogger sprays a chemical that reacts with the different elements in people's blood to change its color. Different elements of people's blood? Yes, everyone's blood is slightly different, you see, because it's made up of different elements. So by seeing what color it changes to, you can tell in a flash whose blood it is. Oh, that brings a whole extra dimension to looking at blood. Talk of blood in courtroom, stop. Very exciting, stop. As an example, this one shows the blood of the victim, Mr. Windybank. Ah, striking blue. Yes, so you see, the green color of this bloodstain on the calendar shows that somebody else was shot in the main part of the shop. Now hold fire there, young man. Could be from some unrelated incident, couldn't it? No, it's not unrelated. The date showing on the calendar is the date on which Mr. Windybank was killed. By golly! Therefore, we can assume that whoever was shot on the same day. Then whose blood is it? Well, the Skulkin brothers in the stand don't appear to be suffering from any gunshot injuries. Which means it must be the blood of somebody else, the third intruder in fact. Whose identity the court is still waiting to hear. You can't delay this any longer, my learned friend. Who is this alleged third intruder? The man's name is Eggert Benedict. Eggert Benedict? Who on earth are you talking about, counsel? He paid a visit to Windybank's pawnbrokery on the afternoon before the incident took place, when the accused attempted to deceive the pawnbroker into releasing this article into her possession. That's right. The man identified by the defense, Mr. Eggert Benedict, then attempted to take the article from the defendant by force, and left his blood on it. Broker! Yes, sir? I believe this filthy pocket thief has just redeemed an article from you, no? Yes. The article in question belongs to me. I demand for it to be returned at once. No, that's a lie. What are you trying to pull? Give me back my overcoat, you wastrel. And needless to say, Any music box discs too. Inspector Gregson was there at the time and can attest to what happened. In the end, it was the inspector himself who took the disc. Can you corroborate this account, Inspector? Yes, my lord. That's more or less what happened. And in the interest of being thorough, I asked Windy Bank for a print showing the fellow. Taken from one of these red-handed recorder gubbinses. Yes, that's him talking to Mr. Windybank that morning. And you claim this man is the brother's accomplice? Well, Mr. and Mr. Skulkin, never seen a geezer before in me life. On me life, Guff, on me life, never seen him. Well, somewhat unsurprisingly, it appears our witnesses disagree with the assertion. I'm sure your lordship recalls my Lord Nipponese friend's actual assertion, which was that he could prove the identity of the alleged accomplice. Yes, and I can. Then show us the evidence. It's the disc. I agree, we must see the proof that the clean-cut gentleman in the photograph is the filthy criminal you say he is. This is the last piece of evidence. I've had a feeling that something has been missing in this trial from the very start, but now I'm going to drag it kicking and screaming into the courtroom. Are you ready to present your answer to the court? Yes, my lord, the defense will present the evidence now. Proof that the man pictured in this photographic print was in fact the person struck by the third bullet. Okay, I think it's the disc. Whether the entry in the portfolio or the disc itself. No, okay, it's the disc because the music stopped. As I mentioned before, on the afternoon of the day in question, the defendant attempted, deceitfully admittedly, to reclaim this disc from Windy Banks, which is when the aforementioned Eggert Benedict appeared on the scene, I believe. This man then attempted to purloin the article from the defendant's possession, no? That's correct, my lord. I myself was present at the time. It was following this that a minor incident occurred. But of course, sir, here is the disc for you. Very well. Then I shall bid you farewell. Say goodbye to style. Wait a minute. That disc is mine. Arg! What do you think you're doing, you little tramp? You've drawn blood, you filthy animal. Being a music box disc, it has countless small but sharp metal protrusions over its surface. Those protrusions caused Mr. Benedict's finger to bleed, and the resulting smear of blood is still visible on the disc now. Goodness, a bloodstain, is it? My assistant and I have just analyzed the bloodstain here in this very courtroom, using my trusty fogger gun. Yes, and we added the results to this portfolio. I say, it's green. It's exactly the same color as the blood around the calendar. The evidence is conclusive. The man calling himself Mr. Eggert Benedict, who was at Windy Banks earlier in the day, is the accomplice who was present at the scene of the crime that same night. So there was someone else there. Look at those two brothers now. They're sweating buckets. Oi, what are you talking about? It's boiling in here. My lord, it is the opinion of the defense that Mr. Eggert Benedict should be summoned to the courtroom to testify. It would certainly seem that we can ill afford to ignore this gentleman's apparent presence. This has gone on long enough now. This flagrant ignorance of the mechanics of law. Sherlock Holmes, you say? Yes, I've heard the name. The protagonist in a series of short stories for the vulgar classes, a god of detection or some such. And now you employ chemical substances devised by this fantastical persona in the highest court in the land? Do you expect us to take you seriously? The samples made by this plaything are not fit to be called evidence. So the bloodstain turned the shade of green, what of it? Here's to you successfully proving that no other blood in the world would turn the same color. Ah, well. And pray do not even think of suggesting that we should take Mr. Sholmes' word for it. Is he right? Is Mr. Sholmes' concoction a load of rubbish? I don't know, I mean, he is a great detective. What are you talking about? We can't let him get away with it. I knew it would come to this. Of course, Mr. Sholmes' invention isn't going to be recognized by any official body, but what other choice did I have? I'm just remembering what Father Christmas over there said before. about how he was temporarily suspending the summation examination. In other words, the examination isn't over yet, is it? Good grief! What did you just say, the young girl? And in the summation examination, the decision as to whether or not the trial continues is in the hands of the 6 jurors, isn't it? So the way I see it, it doesn't matter what certain other people think of Early's invention. At least, not for now. Yes, she's right. Young lady, you have quite a devious mind. It really just comes down to one thing. Whether these ladies and gentlemen of the jury are convinced by what you say, Runo. Is that about right, would you say? Or did I misunderstand something? Unbelievable. Mr. Sholmes' partner is a force to be reckoned with. Iris Wilson, sharpshooter. After that shrewd precis of the situation from an entirely unexpected source, it must be acknowledged that the previous summation examination has yet to reach its conclusion. This is absurd. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, the court now looks to you for your final leanings in this matter. As proud citizens of Her Majesty's Britain, I'm sure you will come to fair and just conclusions. So then, state your final decisions in turn, please. Not guilty. Not guilty.
無罪
Not guilty.
無罪
Guilty.
有罪
Guilty.
有罪
Okay, well that's
Right.
enough. 4 out of 6. That's all we needed. Two called guilty and 4 called not guilty. Such is the outcome of the summation examination.
異議あり
My lord, with all due respect, this is an outrage. The prosecution refuses to accept this decision. On what grounds? If these jurors are persuaded by some half-baked concoction devised by a pretender to real police work, then they are too ignorant to be trusted with the judgment of anyone's guilt. I'm sorry, Lord Van Zeeks, but the outcome of the summation examination cannot be ignored. This trial will continue. Arg! Arg! Nevertheless, we find ourselves in a rather awkward situation. The defense has very reasonably requested the subpoena of a new witness. But sadly, I fear that will be impossible. What? The name the gentleman gave for himself, Eggert Benedict, is quite clearly false. I don't believe it. Just when I'd managed to prove the man was there that night. Could I say something? Who was that, please? Who spoke? It was me, my lord. Juror number 5? What have you to say, madam? If possible, Inspector. Me, ma'am? I wonder if you might show the photographic print to me again, the one in which the gentleman is shown. Ah, right, yes, this one you mean. Oh, Mr. Benedict. Yes, there's no doubt in my mind. Juror number 5? You don't mean to say, you know this man? Yes, I know him. What? No. Good gracious! Hold on! Juror number 5, how on earth? I am a communications officer, stop. As we can clearly see. The gentleman in the photograph is, stop, also a communications officer, stop. He works in my office, stop. A very talented operator, in fact, stop. He should be in the communication station now, stop. Tapping away on the telegraph, stop. This doesn't seem right somehow. I can't put my finger on why, but it doesn't feel right. I suppose we all imagined the accomplice would be some sort of hardened criminal. It's a bit unexpected to find out that he has a respectable job by day, whatever he gets up to at night. Yes, I suppose that's it. I suppose that's why I felt something was wrong. If the gentleman is at London's communication station, we should be able to subpoena him within the hour. Lord Van Zeeks, if you please. Yes, my lord. Make the necessary arrangements with all haste, as your lordship bids. The court will recess for 1 hour. When the new witness arrives, we shall reconvene to hear the gentleman's testimony. I will go through the recess period, and then I'll stop after that. Inspector Gregson. Yes, my lord. I should like to hear from you specifically about events at the pawnbrokery on the day in question. Come to my chambers during recess. Yes, sir, my lord. Very well. Court is adjourned until 1:40 p.m. I wonder if maybe the disc isn't music at all, but maybe it is a way of storing on it, like a telegraphic signal of state secrets, maybe, about the article in the journal. And maybe this is the case that they don't want to be talked about in court because it's top secret. I don't know. I can't be sure. Gina, how are you holding up? I'm starting to feel quite warmly towards our frequent cold shoulders now. Jeannie, are you alright? Why aren't you saying anything? What's the point, eh? Why go to all this trouble and fight so hard for the likes of me? What? Well, you saw it, that picture. What picture? The one where she's holding the gun. You mean this? The photograph taken by Hurley's red-handed recorder? Well, I didn't think it would have captured a scene like this, that's for sure. It's hopeless. Anyone who sees that's gonna think I did it, ain't they? Well, I won't pretend it wasn't a bit of a shock when the prosecution first presented it to the court. Surely you've gotta have your doubts about me now. You can't still think I'm innocent. You can't still think I'm innocent. Of course I can. Jeannie, why don't you talk to us? Tell us what really happened that night. Bruno's cleverly managed to piece together a lot of new information, but still, would really like to hear it from you. Alright then. It was after we'd had that dinner together at your place, right, Iris? Then we all had a chat up in your office, didn't we? Yes, I remember. After that, I just couldn't get to sleep, so I slipped out and went down the street to the 221, to Windy Bank's place. I had to know if Iris's story was there or not, the Hound of the Baskervilles. I don't know what it's about or nothing, but if you ask me, there's something in it that Sholmes don't like, something what he don't want people reading. So that's why you lied to Iris about sticking it in lug with Windy Bank for safekeeping. At least that's what I thought at the time. So you broke into Windy Banks. I just had to know if it was there or not. I mean, I had no idea all of that was gonna kick off, did I? I struck the lock and stuck inside. It was dark as you like in there. So I gave the oil lamp on the counter a bit of a wick, and that's when... What do you think you're doing? Ah! I nearly died. I did. And next thing I knew... I'd grabbed the gun off the counter and was waving it in the air like, I don't know what. Ah, you're the girl who was in here this afternoon. I didn't think pickpockets went in for armed robbery. The mantle script. Have you got it here? Did Sholmes leave a load of papers with you? A story? I beg your pardon? The Hound or the something or other? If it's here, I want to see it. I'm sorry, young lady, but I'd sooner die than relinquish an article belonging to one of my customers. I don't want it! What would I do with it anyway? I just want to see it's here, that's all. Oh, you want to see it, do you? I want to know if Sholmes really pawned it here or not. Please, just let me see it, and I'll go. Oh, very well then. But for pity's sake, stop waving my gun around, would you? Okay, so then the old cove unlocked the storeroom door, and we both went inside. And it was there alright, the mantle script. Sholmes weren't lying after all. You did all that just to check for me, Jeannie. Anyway, then there was a bit of a kick-up out in the main bit of the shop, the Skulkin brothers arriving on the scene, yes. What was that noise? Someone's breaking in. Dear me, is there some burglars convention here tonight that I don't know about? I think I forgot to shut the door behind me, sorry. I'd better go and take care of it. Could I possibly have my gun back? Oh, well, I'll come with you, Anne. Now, don't be foolish, young girl. You must stay right here. Don't leave this room under any circumstances. And with that, he took the gun out of my hands and walked back out into the shop. I hung back in the storeroom like he said, straining the ears in the dark to hear what was going on. It sounded like they got into a bit of a scrap. I started to think I should help, see? So I was just about to go out the storeroom myself when... 2 shots? I heard a couple of shots go off. 2, I think. Almost at the same time. And then there he was, right at me feet, lying face down on the floor. I was right next to the storeroom door, so I slammed it shut and locked it quick as you like. Because you thought whoever had shot Mr. Windybank might come for you. Yes, so I went to grab the old cove's gun. I figured I'd put up a fight at least. But when I got a better look at him, I knew. Windybank was a goner. I felt funny in me head all of a sudden, kinda dizzy. And after that, I don't remember nothing. She passed out. That must be when you passed out, Gina. If I hadn't done what I done, the old cove might still be alive. Did you tell the police everything you just told us? Of course I did, but they didn't believe a word of it, did they? All they said was if I kept telling lies, it'd make things even worse for me. It'll be alright, Ginny. Don't worry. Just stay strong a little longer. Bruno is about to put the real culprit through the mill. That cove, what was there in the afternoon? That Eggert Benedict. I still remember how he looked at me, like I was nothing. He was there that night. We don't know his real name yet, but I'm convinced that he's involved somehow. Anyway, thank you for telling us what happened, Gina. I appreciate your honesty. You what? You can leave it all in Runo's capable hands now, Ginny. Mr. Narahodo. Narahodo. Yes? How come you trust me? I don't get it. I mean, have you forgotten what happened here before? Come on, it was only 2 months ago. Me and McGilded, we told you a whole pack of lies. And you got the Bogtrotter off with him, even though he was a killer. No, I could never forget that. Oh, I did what I thought was best at the time, but the pain of that error of judgment doesn't get any easier to bear. Still, don't forget that I also made you a promise. I told you that I'd be on your side to the bitter end, no matter what. But what if I'm lying? You could be working to get another killer off the hook, for all you know. I was once in your position, Gina. I was the accused in a trial. You were? Before I left Japan, I was accused of murder. As strange as it might sound, the circumstances of the crime were pretty damning. I was sure that no one would believe it was me who'd done it. Oh, Bruno, but there was one person who stood up for me, who believed in me, and was prepared to defend me. My best friend. Ryunosuke, no one believes in you more than I do. Leave this to me. All you need to do is put your faith in me and I'll do the rest. I was so happy I cried, but even then, somewhere inside me, I couldn't help thinking, surely he doesn't really believe in me. Not completely. But I was wrong. As soon as my trial began, it was obvious that he had an absolute, unwavering belief in me. And in turn, I developed an absolute, unwavering belief in him. Since then, I came to realize if you want someone to believe in you, you have to believe in the other person first. What are you saying? I promise you, Gina, that no matter what happens, I'll keep believing in you, so you don't need to worry. I won't let you down. Even though I'm a diver and a no-good liar, you're not like McGilded, I know that. Eh? That's right, you're a friend, Ginny. Iris, we know you better than you think. And we've come to the conclusion that you're someone we can trust. Yes, that's really all we need to know. Exactly. Mr. Naraodo, Defendant Janelle Estrade and her legal representative. Court proceedings are about to resume. Please head into the courtroom immediately. Yes, of course. Thank you. Okay, well, let's save then. after that. I'd been both a defendant and a defending lawyer in my time, so I knew only too well just how hard it was to put all your faith in another. And I also knew just how hard it was to bear the burden of another putting all their faith in you. This is it at last. The final chapter. The final battle. Wish me luck, Susato-san. And I hope you're watching over me too. Partner. Okay, so that'll be all for today. I'll stop here and I'll be back tomorrow night. And I think with the amount of game that I left, that should be just enough to fill tomorrow night and to be done in time before I have to stop streaming tomorrow night. I think, anyway. Okay, so thank you for watching, people. Here's to saving. And I shall be back tomorrow, hopefully for the finale then. See ya, take care, and thank you for watching. Bye-bye.